Hey guys, BJ the Brave here, and I am bringing you today a full card review for the brand new faction to Warhammer 40k Warpforge, which is the Genestealer cults. Now, quick premise from me to this video. It's going to be done in two parts. In part one, you're going to see me and Slither are going to be going through, sharing our thoughts. We're going to do the usual scoring of the cards from 1 to 5. 1 means it's an unplayable card. 2 means we think it's a bad card. 3 means it's a situationally good card, so it's kind of like it can be pretty good, but it can also just be a bit meh. It's alright, it's not bad, it's not good. And then the 4 is like good cards. These are like the staples you want to be looking for when you're thinking about collecting and building your decks. And then the 5s are the kind of new meta-defining cards in the faction. Now, in part 1, you're going to see me joined by Slither. In part 2, I'm joined by some other fellow members of the Collegium Magistrorum, which is our alliance. We got Papabeard, we've got Lord of Squirrels, and we've got Buggy joining us for part 2. I did film this in 2 parts. I just want to apologise up front for part 1 on my own part. Personally, I was absolutely exhausted when I made that when I filmed the review. I did it quite late at night, and I'd been up since 3 a.m. So joys of having young kids. So yeah, I do want to apologise. My energy definitely picked up in the second half. So just wanted to let you know that that's kind of what we did. And other than that, let's dive on into the full card review. Really exciting faction, this one, guys. It's one that I will be spending a lot of time on and making many deck guides for. So if that sounds good, hit that thumbs up for us below, and let's get on into the card review. Hey guys, BJ back with a full breakdown today of the new Genestealer cults cards. We've got all the reveals, and we have got the card list, which is being published by EG, although I am joined by Slither. How you doing, Slither? You okay?
Hey, I'm good. Nice to be back. Hopefully your viewers won't be getting sick of me.
Yeah, so we thought we'd have just basically go through the card list, although we've just realised that the sabotage cards aren't all on there, which is a bit annoying. And just basically give our initial impressions. We'll stick with the usual kind of 1 to 5. So 1 is it's kind of unplayable card. 2 is we think it's pretty bad. 3 is kind of like okay, meh. 4 is it's good, and they're the sort of staples that'll be in most decks. And then 5 is the kind of meta-defining awesome cards. So we'll go through and give it a kind of 1 to 5. Remember, guys, this is just an initial impression. We've not actually had the cards and had to go with them yet, so this is just theory crafting and giving initial impressions. So, Slither, should we just remind everyone what the sabotage cards are first? Because a lot of these cards are going to refer to sabotage cards, so I think it'd be good for people to kind of have them in their head. And perhaps we can kind of talk about which of these we think are also going to be the better ones, if you like.
Yeah.
So first one I've got an image of is the poisoned supplies. So, guys, just very quickly. Just remember, the way the sabotage cards work is that we have different units or stratagems that enable us to put a card in our opponent's hand. This is quite a new mechanic in Warpforge, although it's something we've seen in other card games. And essentially, what happens is that whenever the sabotage card sits in our opponent's hand, generally has a damaging effect. So the idea is that your opponent wants to get rid of the card, and the way they get rid of the card is by paying the energy cost, in this case 2 energy, and then they basically play the card out of their hand. It does nothing, but they've got rid of the sabotage effect. If they don't pay the mana and play it, it sits in their hand, and I think it's the end of the turn. They often are subject to a negative effect. Did I get that about right?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I guess there is the one that gives you the Genestealer player like a positive effect. But yeah.
Basically yeah, it's negative for the opponent, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go through then. So the first one is poison supplies. It says at the end of your turn, your troops take 1 damage. So essentially, kind of, it's giving us as the Genestealer cultist player almost like a little AoE, isn't it? It's essentially an AoE if they don't play this out of the hand. So what do you think to this? I think this is a pretty powerful one, and probably one of the ones that they'll want to get rid of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this effect is really strong. I think this would probably be the best if you I mean, this is a very good like anti-aggro sabotage card, because if you put this in your opponent's deck and they're just wanting to pump out units,
Yeah.
The first one maybe they could get away with ignoring, but if you stack another one, then like any 2 HP units are like dying on the same turn. If you stack even more, then all their like low cost 3 HP units are dying straight away. And if they want to get rid of it, they have to take the tempo loss of playing the sabotage out of hand. So I think like stacking like 1 or 2 poison supplies against like an aggro Galen or something would be like pretty strong. Like I think that would really give aggro players a big headache at the start.
Yeah, and it's you know, there will be turns, won't they, where like they don't have a board of troops. There'll be the turn where they play like what's the 4-drop, for example, in Eldar that gives them the Blade of Death? Dance of Death, yeah.
Dance of Death,
yeah. So like there'll be that type of turn where they go, do you know what? I'm not putting a troop down. I'm putting the Dance of Death on. I can kind of take it for another turn, not suffer. So there will be turns where it does nothing, but like you say, wherever they want to develop troops, this is going to be a real pain in the backside, isn't it? So
yeah, and even if the units aren't dying, just making them easier to trade with. Yeah, I think I can see this being quite a good sabotage card.
all right. So I reckon, what do you think? Maybe a 4 out of 5. I think this is a good card. I don't know that it's kind of like earth shattering or anything, but I don't know if I'd give it a 5. But I feel like it's a solid. I think it's a really good sabotage card.
Yeah, I think I'd say 4, and then maybe like 5 in like the right matchup.
Yeah.
Like I think against like aggro Galen, this would be like a 5.
Yeah.
Or yeah, any deck that wants to go super wide.
And that's the thing with those decks. They then have to spend the 2 energy to get rid of this. They're not able to develop at the pace and tempo that they want to do. So you're kind of happy if either way, aren't you? As the cultist
Yeah, it's a
player.
win-win for the cultist player, I think.
All right, the next one we don't have an image for, but it's the cult propaganda. So this is the it does 2. It costs 2 again, and it's at the end of your turn. Create a neophyte initiative in your opponent's hand. So the neophyte initiative is the 1-drop. It's this one here. It's an uprising card. So that basically means that it's a bit like a rally effect, but only once we've played the 2nd troop in that turn, and it'll deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So Cold Propaganda's like, yeah, it's building up our hand. It's 2 energy. What do you think to this one?
I think this is probably the most interesting one for me, because I guess on paper the Neophyte Initiate doesn't really do much, but my prediction for Genestealer Cults is that in Uprising decks there's like a couple cards that like lets you stack these guys in your hand. So if you go for an Uprising deck, when you play your sabotage cards, you can play the Cult Propaganda if it appears. And your opponent might be tempted to ignore this one. They might just be like, I don't care, I'm just gonna like, okay, you get this thing, but I'm just gonna keep developing, because it's not like punishing them per se, it's giving you something rather than taking something away from them. So decks that want to like I think fast decks will be quite tempted to ignore this one. So it'd be an interesting it would be like an interesting kind of like more greedy sabotage to put in your opponent's hand. And if you can get enough of these, you could like set up for some big like uprising plays later on.
Some big like machine gun chains. It's gonna be interesting in the mirror match, isn't it? Because you could end up this thing where your hand gets rammed, right? Because if you're playing the uprising deck and you're trying to get loads of these in your hand, but your opponent's then putting sabotage cards in your hand, you could end up with a full hand. You know what I mean? You could end up milling cards.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting in the mirror match.
I feel like the uprising combo Genestealer Cults will probably hate the sabotage decks as much as the rest of us.
Yeah. What would you give it then? The cult, cult propaganda.
I think I would give this a 3, just because it's not going to synergize with certain Genestealer decks. It's like that Neophyte is basically there as an uprising synergy card, and obviously if you're going for like an ambush deck or a sabotage deck, then maybe these guys are actually like not really doing much for you. But if you're playing like an uprising deck, or you have a very particular uprising combo, then I think this is like the sabotage you want.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it might be the one you don't want to see, and you'd be forced to pick between the other two. Because
I'd agree. I think about a 3 sounds about
Yeah.
right. The only exception might be that if like you said, if it does lead to like really powerful game-winning combos, then maybe it'll be more. And there is a chance that it could do that, but we just don't know yet. But I think
it's actually
yeah, in context, just kind of as it is, probably around a 3 sounds fine.
yeah. I would say one thing with the sabotage is there's 4 sabotage cards, but in Warpforge, anytime you like choose a card or an effect, you choose 1 out of 3. So there's like sabotage decks, you're gonna like there's gonna be like one you really want, and then you're gonna have to and then there'll be some turns you're gonna have to pick your like backup sabotage when it doesn't appear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's gonna be an RNG effect to it, isn't there? And like you'd be, what's the chaos guy? Silas? Siler?
Yeah, Sylar, yeah.
Could be a bit that effect where you think, oh, there's a really powerful option here, but I didn't get it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on because we've got a lot of cards to get through. So the jam communications, this one's a 2, and it says when you play a stratagem, your warlord takes 1 damage. I quite like this because opponents, use stratagems as almost like they're emergency, don't they? Because they have immediate effects. But then again, 1 damage isn't like it isn't massive. Like obviously, if you can play this. Once your opponent's down to sort of 15 HP and they're getting into that danger zone, then this starts to obviously become a much bigger deal. But I feel like this is one that people will just be less worried about. They might sit with this in the hand a few turns and kind of take it. What do you think?
Yeah, one thing I'm curious if you actually still take the 1 damage when you play the sabotage out of hand, because you are still technically playing a stratagem. I'm just not sure which cancels out first. I feel this is kind of like the beatdown sabotage because you are doing face damage with it, albeit not very much at the start. Against was it like Yemotex and Anvir. I mean, anyone that wants to like spam stratagems or use a lot of like key stratagems. I feel like you want to like start trying to stack this in their hands so you can like punish them for using them.
Yeah. There are decks, aren't there? Like I think now, think about the meta.
Is it every talent is technically a stratagem?
Yeah, talent, the warlord talents. So that alone is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like your Junis, they're gonna want to use their talent.
Just wonder how much damage it's going to do. So let's say it stayed in your in the opponent's hand for a couple of turns. I mean, what? Maybe across 2 turns they could play like 4 strats max, so that'd be 4 health they take. I don't know if it'll be significant enough. I think that's my thing. So I feel like this is kind of sitting at somewhere like a 2.5 to 3 for me. I don't think it's bad, but
I think with this sabotage, it's on one on it. It's a bit like Poison the Flies. One on its own isn't particularly scary. I think it's you need to threaten to keep stacking them, so it actually becomes a real threat.
Oh god, yeah. If you can stack multiple ones, then it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have we covered all the stratagems, or is it?
Oh wait, you got the most important one, improvised barricades.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about this because I think this is one of my favourite design cards in the
it's the
in
most
the expansion.
Innovative cards ever designed.
It's perfect. I love it. What's it called? Improvised barricade.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the improvised barricade is a 3 NG card, and it just says do nothing. Now, it's so the simplicity of what makes this genius, right? Because the idea is that obviously if it doesn't harm them, it doesn't do anything, then why the hell would they waste 3 energy? So they're going to just sit with it and keep it in the hand. But obviously, the reason why this is a good card is that, as we're going to get onto, there are cards that say things like, if there's a sabotage card in hand, do X. So we kind of want them to just keep it in hand, if that makes sense. And then, of course, if they do play it to get rid of it, it actually costs more. Everyone will have noticed the others cost 2, this one costs 3E. It is actually significant, isn't it? That's quite a lot. You imagine it's like E7, and you're sitting there wanting to develop your Necron Lord, and you're like, oh, I've got to pay 3 energy for this, and that only leaves me with 4, and I've got to deal with the board. It's really quite disruptive on the turn that they want to play it. 3 energy do nothing. Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is definitely the sabotage to go for if you're going for like the sabotage like payoff cards, like the. I think there's a couple cards that's specifically tied to sabotages in hand and some things that are tied to like enemy hand size. So both of those are kind of like your sabotage payoffs.
Yeah.
And I think if your deck was really leading heavily into those, then the barricades would probably be the way to go. Because yeah, I mean, no one wants to waste free energy to literally do nothing. At least with the 2E ones, it's like, okay, well, this is gonna like impact me, so it's worth just getting this out. But, so I think it's gonna be a funny play style of just like stacking these up in your opponent's hand.
It's gonna be so much fun. Sabotage. Like it's gonna be so much fun to use and so painful
Yeah.
to play against.
It's play against, yeah.
All right. So now we've covered what the sabotage cards are. Let's jump into the main cards and work way through. So that's starting off with the Warlord, the basic Warlord that everybody will get in the starter deck. Remember, if you obviously pay, I think it's 100 gold or 100 crystals or something to start the campaign, the Genestealer cults, you will get a free full deck, and it will include this Warlord. So the Icon Ward Malak Vorenth. I really am not good with the lore for Genestealer cults, so don't ask me anything about that. But this guy, basic stats, yeah, the standard 2/2/35. Let's get on to what his talent does. Nexus of Devotion. Heal 1 to your units and give them +1/+1 this turn.
Yeah.
Does that mean himself as well then?
Yeah, if it's units, that counts your Warlord. So
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a pretty solid like talent. I mean, we'll have to see what the rest of the kind of Genestealer package is like. But like, I mean, on paper that seems pretty good to me.
It seems really good, doesn't it? Because it's kind of like Morven's ability mixed with Warshaper.
Imitex. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's not Imatech, because Imatech heals 1 to himself, but this heals 1 to all of your unit.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
So it's better than Onvar. It's all unit. So it's and especially when we think about like the neophyte go wide machine gun type thing, you could. The only thing is, it is heal 1, so it's not give 1 health like Erica. It's like the Junif thing, isn't it? They've got to have taken damage for it to work.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
There are a lot of like 2 HP or like even 1 HP units in Genestealers. Actually, I guess one. Obviously, you can't heal a 1 HP unit. So I think that
Better on bigger units, this, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm guessing this is the more your kind of like mid-rangey kind of card. But I mean, also just being able to boost yourself to 1/1 is quite a nice removal tool in the early game.
Definitely.
And you're also healing yourself as well, so you're like trading, but you're also getting a little bit of HP back.
I think when we go through the deck as well, and I don't know for certain, but I've got a feeling it's quite slanted towards melee, and so getting +1 on the range attack as well could be really helpful. It's not bad, is it? For a beginner Warlord, it's not a bad talent at all.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty solid.
I don't know what the deck is that fits around it best, but yeah, just as a talent in itself, it's pretty solid. Tell you what, should we look at all 3 Warlords and then assign the scores?
Yeah, sure.
So the epic Warlord is Magnus, and this is a she apparently, Magnus Uthrael Nas, and she is again standard 35/2/2, and her talent Brood Prophet says choose a Genestealer cult troop and add it to your hand, lower its cost by 1. First question I've got on this is does that mean choose 1 from your deck, or does it just show 3 from the faction? Are they additional cards, if that makes sense?
I'm guessing that I'm trying. You know, like the Eldar defense card, the first one where you just pick a. I think that's similar wording. I think when these cards have like choose a faction troop, it's just like out of the entire card pool.
So it's not coming from your deck. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, that's quite a broad range then, isn't it? Because, you know, when it says choose a troop and add it to your hand, it's basically any troop in the faction, isn't it? And it's going to show you 3. Standard way this works, it will show you 3 and you pick 1. And then lower its cost by 1 is nice.
Mm. I mean, technically, this is quite an efficient ability. It's just quite RNG.
Mm.
I think my take on this, I think I've forgotten the name already, but Magus might be like the Uprising Warlord, because if you can, okay, you're probably not gonna like pick the exact card you want, but there's like a lot of cheap. There's a lot of like cheap cards you could, cheap troops you could just pick just as like kind of Uprising
Yeah,
filler.
that's true.
So maybe she's the go-to if you want to just stack a lot of like cheap units, and you just play them out for like certain combos. You're not really picking them specifically for their effects. But I mean, you could always high roll and pick out legendaries and whatnot, I assume.
She's also just amazing for value, right? Because she's basically giving you cards without thinning your deck. So like, you're not going to get fatigued by Gazgul from doing this all the time. And just giving you additional cards, like, and also giving you reach for cards that are outside of your deck. So you know when you just get that bad matchup and you think, oh, I wish I had this in my deck. She enables you to tap into the faction-wide card pool and put something in your deck that you'd not even put in. So she gives you, in that sense, flexibility. She also gives you kind of unlimited value, essentially. But like you said, the downside is she sort of gives you also that RNG-ness. It's a bit like the Eldar one that gives you 3 Eldar vehicles or something.
Infantry.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh god, it's just rubbish.
Actually, I had another thought with this warlord. She could also be an ambush. Like, you could kind of if your opponent knows you're picking random infantry, and like any ambush card you play is like could be anything, because you're not even limited by your own deck list.
That's so true. Yeah, it's harder for your opponent to play around what you're doing.
Yeah, because you might have played 2 of the, what was it, the 6E guy with like a ton of melee damage, and they'll be like, oh well, I'll melee attack this one because I've seen them play 2 of them, but maybe you high rolled and you got another one out of this ability, and they'll just be like slamming their keyboard. You're like, what the hell? I'm supposed to play around ambush, but I like can't even like remember what cards they've played and like use that to assess.
It's good, and lowering its cost by 1 is big too, right? Because it basically makes this like a 1E card draw. You know, if you think about Calgar, if you think about all the other sort of warlord.
You cut out for me.
Say again?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, your audio cut out for me. I think there might have been an internet trouble.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Fine. Yeah.
So I was just saying that lowering its cost by 1 is also really great because it's essentially a 1E card draw, which is, you know, better than the other warlords like Manius Calgar, Gruk. You know, it costs them 2E. I know it's obviously more random what you're getting, but it's pretty efficient, isn't it? It's pretty efficient, like 1E to draw.
Yeah.
Definitely want to try this one out.
It's like a kind of one. You can also view it as like a 1E ramp. You could like get later game cards and play them a turn early.
Yes.
If you're picking them out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got that as well. So overall, this guy's kind of interesting. I can't decide whether it ultimately will be like the best or like the worst. I don't know. It could sort of go either way. I think it's going to depend around the deck that you build around this guy. But I do think, like, as a standalone ability, it's a strong ability.
I think the ability is very strong. I suppose one thing is when with like Warpforge warlords, these kind of value talents like Orkz and anyway, like card draw and stuff, it doesn't like help you with the board, and she has a 35 HP warlord, so there might be cases where like you can't afford to be using your talent early on.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's my only thought, but I think yeah, so like a value talent that does seem pretty solid. Obviously, a bit RNG, but
I mean Calgar's a bit like that. Although you can draw into things that you can use to the board, but you know, you might use it first turn, then you might kind of not use it again until 6 or 7. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the legendary Warlord Primus Safa Riano, and this Warlord interestingly doesn't have 40 health, so we don't have a 40 HP Warlord yet, and his talent reads Her talent, I think it's a he. His talent reads: choose one, draw a troop. This is from your deck. Draw a stratagem, or heal one to your units. Kind of like the ultimate Swiss knife, this guy, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
can do the heal thing that this one can do if they need it. Drawing, but drawing from your actual deck, you know, what you've put into the deck. So almost kind of got that Grook feel to it. And then choosing as well, right? Do I need a stratagem, or do I need a troop? And there might be some stuff. I love that, being able to choose between them, because there might be some stuff, some decks where, a bit like Ultramarines last season, where you deliberately design a deck that only has 4 stratagems in, or only has 4 troops. Do you know what I mean? That idea. So that you can kind of get consistency out of it. So I think on paper, this seems like a very, very powerful ability and a good one for deck builders.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of potential for like low troop pool or a low stratagem pool. I mean, it's interesting that they did it like this, because this is like a strictly better compared to just like drawing a card, and 2e to draw a card I think was already considered like pretty acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I feel like the heal one to your units will definitely be the probably be the one you don't really pick very often.
Yeah, it won't be.
I guess I don't know. Maybe when it's getting to like the end game and you're like worried about dying, you can start like popping this into your turn.
It will feel quite expensive as well, won't it? Because it's like 2e and you're just drawing. Yeah, and like you said, there'll be fewer board states where you get the benefit from the heal. But yeah, all right. So they're the 3 warlords. So, what would you give them out of 5 then? Those 3?
Yeah, it's interesting. I like how they designed it, because you've got your like beginner warlord that's like got a pretty solid talent that's like definitely will help you, and then you've got these much more interesting but probably like harder to use effects in the epic and the legendary warlord. So I think like the beginner warlord seems like a very solid, like always useful talent, and then the next 2 are like much more interesting, but like will be a little bit harder to use. So I'm not quite sure how I would rate them, to be honest.
Difficult, isn't it? It is difficult because this guy he's the only one, the basic one. He's the only one who's actually got an ability that affects the board there and then. Like getting the +1, all those 3 health units are vulnerable to this guy, whereas they're safe against the other 2. So that's a big plus for this guy. But these guys are obviously draw, and it makes me think about Ultramarines, where you've got Uriel, who can't draw, and then comparing him to like Tigerius and Kalgar, who both can draw. Like drawing's a big thing, you know, drawing resources, and especially in a faction like this, where I think there is going to be a lot of synergy. So it is hard to rate. I'm tempted to say that I think they are all pretty good. Just again, on their own, I think they're all somewhere between like a 3.5 and 4 for me. And we'll kind of have to see how the decks build around them. I could see all 3 of them being playable. But I'd like to see how the deck sort of builds around each of them.
Yeah, I think we'll have to like. I think when we go through the card pool, we might even we could even go back to the board to be like, okay, this one's definitely going to suit this kind of archetype, and this one's going to suit that. I don't think there's not like a dud warlord in the faction, which I think is always good.
All right, well let's start sprinting through the cards then. So we've got the Genestealer Familiar. It's a 1-drop. There's adjacent units have +1 melee. Rally, give flank to a friendly infantry. So I presume you've deployed an infantry on the board, and then you play this guy, and it gives that unit then a flank. Yeah.
And he's got a little Makari effect on top of that as well, which is cute.
I mean, this card's just really solid.
I think this card might be an auto include.
Yeah, I mean, what more do you want from a 1-drop?
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's synergizing with a couple different things. So your ambush cards really like it if they can get flank, and this guy's giving you flank for 1e, so that's good. Your uprising cards want you to have like cheap disposable, cheap troops you can put down to combo off the uprising, so he's going to be good in an uprising deck.
And it says units +1, so that's your warlord too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So if we combine that with a basic warlord, that means the basic warlord, if he uses his power, you could get up to 4 attack.
yeah,
You've got a
yeah.
Gordrang.
I feel he would probably feel bad to use like Makari because obviously he's not gonna come back. But I guess in like a worst case scenario, you can do that. Um,
Oh, you definitely need the flank ability, right?
yeah, yeah,
But overall, if you think about the Tyranids, they've got the 1-drop stratagem that gives flank. Now, obviously, that can be put on a Synapse creature, so it can give up to 3 units flank, but still, if you're paying 1 for that, then 1 for this is superb, I think.
yeah. I think this is really really solid.
I'd probably say that's a 5 for me.
Yeah, yeah. I'd put that in 5.
Now, the Neophyte Initiative is going to be really interesting, because if I look at that on its own, I go, it's a bad card. Like, it's a 2 out of 5. However, when you factor in Uprising and all of the synergies and the cards that can give you multiple ones of these, I have a feeling it's going to be better than a 2. What do you think?
So I think one interesting thing with this card is that it can be generated by a few different things. So there's the sabotage that gives you 1.
Yep.
I feel that there's definitely like a couple epic cards that either give you these in hand or even deploy them onto the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you wanted to use this card, you probably wouldn't main deck it. You would use the cards that give you this card instead, because like having this kind of 1E card, I don't think is too great. But if you can use other cards to like bank them for later, I think that's pretty good. I don't know. It's almost kind of like drones from Tau or something. Like you probably wouldn't play them on their own, but you really like having them from other cards.
Yeah, you need them for triggers, don't you? Like, especially in the late game where you've got some pretty big, expensive Uprising cards, and you're going to need to play a second card the same turn, and so this card's going to be crucial for that. So
I should have thought going back to the warlords. The if you picked this from the warlord that gives you the one where you pick a troop and it gets discounted by 1, and this guy becomes a 0 cost uprising trigger.
God,
That's pretty good. So he might be. so, so yeah, I feel he's very good if you could like if you can get him into your hand through different ways. I probably wouldn't main deck him unless.
So true, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, because then on the big guy, on the 8-drop, you could play him just on 8.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be expecting that. Do you know what? That's a really good point. I think think this guy is a 3 for me. I think it's okay. I think it's probably going to it's situationally good, right? There's going to be situations where it's going to seem really good, and then other situations it's going to sit in your hand forever, or it's just going to come on and ping something and not do a lot. But
Yeah,
I think 3's decent for it.
Yeah, I think in your uprising decks, you're gonna want to be banking this guy, but I think in other decks, this card's not. Yeah, you're probably not gonna want to use him.
Nice art as well. All right, this one's the Concealed Explosives. It's a 2E, 5 melee, 0 range, 1 health. It can't attack, and it says it is an ambush card. It says takes 1 damage at the start of your turn. Ambush, deal 2 to 3 damage to all enemies. I had to read this card about 15 times to get my head around it, but then what I realised is that ambush only works on your turn. So you put this down, and so obviously it just dies, basically. It just takes 1 damage and dies. And it does 2 to 3. So it's an AoE for 2.
So with ambush, you can either trigger it on your own turn with flank, but obviously this guy can't get flank because he can't attack.
So you're going to put this down, and they've got a choice. They can, in their turn, they can obviously attack it because they can't see what it is. If they attack it, they could obviously take 5 damage if they hit it with melee damage. If they hit range damage, then it's basically done nothing, right? Because they're just going to take it out for free. But if they don't take it out, at the start of your turn, it'll take the 1 damage, and that will basically kill it and trigger the 2 to 3 AoE.
Okay, I get it. So you're kind of putting this down on the hope that your opponent is too scared to hit it.
Yeah, it's almost a bit like, it makes me think of DS8 drone a little bit. But obviously, you know it's a DS8 drone. A lot of these ambush cards for me, and this is hard for us to kind of sit here and review objectively, because a lot of it's going to come down to how easy is it to predict what it is.
Yeah.
Because if you can predict this, then it's going to be rubbish, right? Like, they're just going to attack it with range. It just did nothing. If they don't predict it though, if they get it wrong, this could be it could potentially be massive. But again, there's certain board states. The board state's got to be really set up for it to have massive impact. So, I don't know, overall I kind of feel like this could end up being one of those that doesn't turn out to be as good as it potentially looks. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the card's kind of asking. You can't really just play this out. You kind of need to set it up. Either like put it behind a vanguard, or you've done some insane mind games with ambush that your opponent's just terrified of, of attacking it. And
like playing it with another ambush. That's the thing I think with this. It's like you need to play
okay,
two
yeah.
ambushes, and then they go, oh shit, like which one's which, and what could they be? And it's kind of, it does well through confusion, basically.
Yeah. I would say this card can also be generated by another card. I think there's a guy with Artifice that gives you these. So I'm wondering, similar to the one drop, is maybe this isn't a card you necessarily main. This isn't a card you main deck. Maybe it's more something that you just get off the other card that gives you it, essentially. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel the ambush cards were probably it's hard to like know how that is going to play out. So I think that's probably like I'd give that like maybe a 2, or we'll just have to wait and see if that's any good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably a 2 for now, but I could see it being better if we can figure out ways to make it go off. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you can do 2 to 3 AoE damage and potentially you can stack these too, like it'll be very good. Or hide it behind Vanguard and all that stuff. Yeah, could be good, but I think overall I think it's probably going to end up being a little bit underperforming and underwhelming. So let's see. Alright, next up we got the Neophyte Hybrid. So we finally got a 2-drop that's actually got 3 energy and can survive being hit by a Warlord. It's also got good range attack, which in this faction's nice, because I think generally that's the weaker of the 2. There's ambush, create a random stratagem enemy hand. Do we think we'll get to basically trigger that?
Yeah, I was thinking a similar thing. Like if you play this on 2, I would say no, because the opponent's just gonna hit it, and this cool ambush effect isn't gonna go off. Yeah, I don't see this being a particularly strong card. Like you could combo it with the 1-drop, so it does get to ambush, but then this feels like a bit of a waste. There's obviously the 2-drop. I think that's right next to it, actually. That like just gives them the sabotage straight away. It feels like you may as well just play that one instead.
Really difficult giving some of these a score because it's just such new mechanics and we've not used.
Yeah.
I think we should give ourselves the opportunity to pass on the score, but because obviously the thing with this is, look, if it manages to put sabotage in the enemy hand, well, as we've already talked about, it will cost them a minimum of 2 energy to get rid of it. But essentially that means, from a value perspective, that the body of this card is free. At least it might even be better than free, right? Because if the sabotage stays in their hand for multiple turns, he's giving you value, then it's better than free, if that makes sense. But even if they play it out straight away and pay the 2 energy, like, well, you paid 2 energy, they paid 2 energy, they got nothing, you got a 1/3 body.
Yeah.
So it's, in that sense, it's good. Question is, can you actually trigger the sabotage?
I'm wondering if maybe with these kind of 2-drop ambushes, maybe you don't really play them on 2. Maybe you're actually saving them for later, where you can like storm the board with them, and then maybe that's when they get going. But
I think that's a good call, because that's when the opponent just doesn't know what to expect, isn't it?
Yeah, they either have to like commit an AoE, or they just have to guess and hope to guess right in terms of hitting the right card.
Yeah, imagine playing this on 10E. They're like, oh god, it could be this thing could have like 10 attack. Do I really want to hit it with my Warlord? It's like it's down to sort of 16 health at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Neophyte Specialist only has 2 health and a 1/3, and this is a rally. Choose a sabotage and add it to the enemy hand. Now, almost like opposite to the card we just talked about, like this card actually is guaranteed to put the sabotage in, and for me that that is more powerful. For me, that's a better card, even though it will get removed. It's basically like a grot, right? Because it's going to get removed when it's melee attack.
Yeah. Also, you get to choose a sabotage as well. It's not a random one.
Was the other one random?
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to say that this card, hybrid card, is kind of like a 2, maybe 2.5, just because you can ambush later in the game and confuse your opponent. But I'm not. I don't know if I'd go as far as giving it a 3, because I think this card is a sort of this seems like at least a 3, and if sabotage does turn out to be a really powerful mechanic, this could even be a 4. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 4 because if you put this down on, you play this out on 2, you're kind of guaranteeing yourself like an open board the turn after, because at 2E your opponent's probably just gonna be like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna get rid of it right now, and then you can put your free drop down.
Not if you put the 3E one in his hand.
Oh yeah, I suppose that's true. Maybe, well, you get to choose, so maybe for certain lines you would do that, for certain lines you wouldn't. But I don't know. I feel this is like the body being bad is fine because he causes a tempo loss for your opponent, so you'd be able to like.
Yeah.
I think this card seems pretty good.
I think it is actually. The more we talk about it, I think it's a 4.
Yeah. I've also it's nice as a common. I can see this being a good include in all your early Genestealer decks.
Yeah. All right. Good card. Next up, we got the Neophyte Trooper. This is a 2-drop. It's got 3 health. Sorry. Uprising, which means that probably not going to do anything. It's not going to trigger on the play on E2. Can't get a second card down. But Uprising's ability is gain, flank, and +1 range. So if we play this in addition to something else, like for example the 1E Neophyte, this thing comes on with does 4 flank. Is that right?
He would come in with
3 flank. Sorry.
Yeah, free range attack.
Yeah.
And flank. Yeah.
I
But
mean,
the range attack could keep going up if you played more.
That's really good, isn't it? And if this go wide strategy is going to be a thing where we can put multiple tokens down, then this card will be excellent.
Yeah, I feel in your like big uprising combos, if you slot this guy in, what is it, near the start or the end, just like put like a cheap little flank in with that combo, this guy could be pretty good.
Yeah.
And also, he's not like, he's still got 3 HP. He's not the worst like proactive drop if you like feel you have to do it as well. Obviously not what the card's really meant for, but like, I mean, it still has 3 HP. You can still do that.
I mean, if you think of the Primaris Reaver in Ultramarine, the 3/2 flanker, that is played in every Marine. Right? Now, this guy obviously can't play it on 2 like the Primaris Reaver because you need the Uprising. It's not as good in that sense, but the difference is that it does have 3 health, so it could trade with something and survive. I don't think it's as good as the Primaris Reaver, but I do think it is decent. I don't know, I'm sort of thinking this is somewhere like a sort of 3.5.
Yeah, I'm wondering if realistically this could be a good flanker on 3E.
Yeah.
Because I think, I was saying like you probably wouldn't main deck the 1E card. You probably wouldn't have had time to stack that guy in your hand by 3E. So maybe this would end up being more of like a 4E flanker, in which case I think it wouldn't be that good. But
well,
I don't know,
even on 4E, right? Like if you think about combining with your Warlord, you can do 5 damage. By the way, the basic Warlord, imagine turns where basic Warlord power is you. This guy's coming on with as a 4 flanker then, and your Warlord has 3. That's 7 damage just between this and your Warlord.
The other thing that I think you can do that on 4, you would need to proc the Uprising. You need to play a
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But 7 damage from this and your Warlord.
Yeah. I guess also, I mean, every Warpforge deck like flank is usually at a premium, so like probably like definitely an include in your early decks, I think.
Yeah. Next up, the
you should know this card, BJ.
Acolyte Hybrid, the one I revealed. It's a 3-drop. It's got it's interesting because I always think like when I see stats like this. One of the things we haven't said, by the way, I think this faction has poor stats overall. Like it's obviously designed in a way where a lot of the cards are kind of like deliberately understated because of the special abilities. But not just understated, but also they're very wonky, aren't they? So like 4, 1, 5, 0. So they tend to have a kind of big upside and a big. The thing with those cards, generally speaking, in Warpforge is that unless you're a flanker, you should really look at. So in this case, you should really look at it having 1 power, because your opponent is going to get to attack and decide. But because of ambush, I don't really know how to gauge this, right? Because it's like, well, they don't actually know that it's a 4/1. They don't know what it is. So it's almost like somewhere halfway between a flanker and a normal card, and I just don't know where to put the value of ambush at all.
Yeah, I feel like on 3E, someone plays an ambush card, you probably would just, but you just guess, and then if you have the flanker to counter it, then you put it in. But I guess if you've already got troops, like yeah, this is obviously quite to range, but if it kind of needs the warlord to attack it anyway, then it's kind of it kind of needs more resources to clear it than normal, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about these free drops. I'm assuming the next one will be the other one that you revealed. With these, okay. I'm thinking with this ambush effect, that seems to me like this would be a good combo with the 1-drop give flank card, because then it becomes a 6 melee flanker on 4, which is, you know, pretty respectable. Yeah. And then also, I guess it gets to keep those stats as well, so it becomes a 6 free afterwards, so it's not like such a free trade on the ranged afterwards.
Yeah.
I feel like all these ambush cards have got us like questioning ourselves and wondering about the rating.
Yeah, exactly. It is hard to value, but it's certainly, I don't know. I definitely think it's a playable card. It'll be really good in sort of beginner decks, and until you kind of build your collection up, I wouldn't mind putting that in as a 3-drop. But I'm hoping there might be some better things ultimately.
I mean, 4 HP for free is usually considered okay as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got the Biophagus, I think it is.
Biofake.
Yeah. Now the main thing is this guy's got stealth, and we know how powerful stealth is. So coming down with 3 health and stealth. Now its attack stats are pretty poor. Probably will get to swing with a 2 because of stealth. It says rally, create poison supplies in the enemy hand. And now poison supplies was the one that does +1. It's like the AoE, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talent, experimental biohorrors. Let's see what.
Oh, is this the? So the genomic enhancements, they're like further down the list. I think they're kind of like the Eldritch, what's the word, ethereal invocations for Tau. Like you could, I'm not sure if you can main deck them, but there's like a specific pool of free cards that all have different effects. I think they're on page 3.
Called Geo what?
Genomic enhancements, but there'll be like a few different cards. I mean, if you go up. Oh yeah, those are the top 3 in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, those 3. Yeah, there you go.
You've got give a friendly troop flank, strike, draw a card. That's pretty good. Give +3 to a friendly troop if you just need power. Enhance resilience, give armor 1 and health +2.
Baby hardened biologies.
So these are quite powerful effects. So how does it give it them again?
I think so. It's giving you the talent.
Is it rally? Oh, is it talent?
Yeah, the talent.
Okay. Which you're gonna get that right, because I didn't see the cost of those things. Did you?
So those cost 2, but the talent this guy gives you costs 1. So you're paying 1 to like get the spell, and then if you want to play on the same turn, you're paying another 2.
So it's quite expensive, isn't it?
It's a little bit like Serene Unifier, I guess.
Serene Unifier.
I mean, talents on stealth cards are really good. I mean, it's like stealth battlesuit was really good in Tau for such a long time. Like, talents, cards with talents always feel a little bit like, oh well, whatever. It has a talent, it's not going to survive. But when it has stealth, then this is effectively guaranteed, which is a big upside.
I think you've got to look at cards like this as in the early game. You're not using the talent. You've got to judge it just off the rally. And in the late game, a bit like companions, it's a way of giving the card more value. So, for me, I kind of think like if you just take it as like stealth and rally, put poison supplies in, I think that's a pretty good 3-drop, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because even if you just think, essentially, I get a stealth unit that gets to attack for 2, and I make my opponent spend 2 energy on nothing. Kind of getting a one. It's like this is a 1-drop, isn't it? It's not bad. I'd say, I think this is kind of like a 3 out of 5. I don't think it's a bad card, but I don't think it's a great card either.
Yeah. Actually, it's 3. I don't know. Maybe I'd argue 4. I think the problem is poison supplies is a big sabotage card in certain matchups, but maybe not in others. Like if Imhotep has poison supplies in hand, he's like not. I don't think he's going to be too first.
No. No.
I think an interesting card though. I guess.
So somewhere around 3-4 for that one.
Yeah.
All right. Now Locus, I don't think was a card revealed, so this is quite cool. Bit of a Easter egg for us. It's a 3-drop. It's got stealth, so that means that, a bit like the Genestealer, we probably will get to hit with the 3 melee. But unlike the Genestealer, it actually comes with 4 health as opposed to 3. And it says strike, stun a random enemy. So it's kind of got the Death Leaper ability, hasn't it?
Yeah, just with not as much damage though.
On a smaller card. I quite like it. I think stun's really powerful. It's an effect. It includes the Warlord. And I think the stealth enables you to actually get it to work. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think having a strike effect on a stealth card obviously makes it better. You know what I think this would be really good with is you put this down on 3. If you can clear something with this guy plus the Warlord, you get to then stun the enemy Warlord. And if you put an ambush card down after that, then the ambush card becomes a lot scarier because they don't have the Warlord bash to like figure out what the card is.
True.
I feel this. Yeah, I'm thinking like ambush synergy with this guy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
definitely gonna try that one. Yeah, I think that's a solid card. I could see that being a 4, to be honest.
I think also stealth cards with 4 HP feel pretty good because they're not in like most AOE ranges as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I think yeah, 3 or 4.
Pretty solid. This was the other one that I revealed.
Mm.
Let's go and grab a drink of water in a second. So, I mean, the thing with this guy is it's quite good that it's a 3-drop because the other 3-drop, the stats are sort of the other way around. So I was kind of making the point in the reveal video that what does your opponent do? Does he attack with the rear? Does he attack with the melee or attack with the range? And but the ambush on this one is deal 2 damage to a random enemy. It's only got 3 health. I don't love this card, to be honest. I feel like it's like a poor man's Sternguard Sergeant, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
Even if you get to do the ambush, it's like 2 random damage. You don't know. It could be the Warlord. It could be the wrong thing, and he doesn't have the health to survive. So the one good thing is though, having 5 range attack, it can trade up quite well.
Yeah.
But will it ever survive? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel this card doesn't seem that good. It's just a question of would you put it in just to kind of have some mind games with the other 3-drop.
Yeah.
I think the other 3-drop is probably better because it's got more HP, and because it's getting that plus 2 to stats, it's almost you're kind of getting 2 extra damage to put where you want anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think probably not too impressed with this card. Maybe give it a 2. I think maybe
Yeah, I think it's not unplayable. I don't think, but it's probably a 2, isn't it? Yeah. Good card. Alrighty. Next up, we have the epic Neophyte Icon Bearer. So, when a friendly unit attacks, create a Neophyte initiative in your hand.
So I believe that was the 1-drop.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a friendly unit, so that includes the Warlord. And it's a 3 drop. 3 health is not great for 3, but you're definitely going to get at least the Warlord attack, possibly another one. So I think that's what you're really looking for, isn't it? You're looking for there to be 1 troop down on the board already that survived. Then you play this, so you get your Lord and that. That basically gives you 2 neophytes in hand. If you're running a deck that's built around neophytes, then this is going to be essential. But whether it's in decks outside of that specific type of archetype, I don't know whether I would include it.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think this is the Neophyte Initiate. I think is definitely your like uprising deck card, but I don't think. I think cards that give you that won't really fit in other archetypes.
No.
Obviously, we'll have to see, but yeah,
Like the engine,
that's
isn't
my
it?
initial impressions.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna grab some water. Do you want to kind of give your thoughts on this one while I do so?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so Neophyte Leader, 3E Uprising, give +1/+1s for friendly troops. 4/3/4, so actually above average. Okay, so it's got having 4 HP for 3E is decent, and 4/3 on the attack stats is not bad. This Uprising effect is actually pretty interesting because Uprising wants you to like put out a bunch of units, and if this guy is like continually buffing them, then you could get some pretty crazy stats in the depending on how long the combo is. The only downside is your uprising cards. I mean, a lot of them you're kind of playing them for their little effects rather than like stats. So you might end up with a bunch of 5/5/6/6 neophyte initiates or something. That's cool, but then maybe they just get cleared by an AoE or something. It doesn't actually matter. I don't know. It's something interesting. Oh, is that? I think this is the first legendary.
Yeah.
That wasn't a warlord.
It's a legendary uprising lord.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it a permanent +1/1? I think it is, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
But it is only troops.
Yeah, just troops. I don't know. What do you? I don't know how much you heard of that. Was my thoughts is that this does look like a good uprising card. The only downside is there's a lot of uprising cards I just kind of like random damage and stuff like that, so that the stats on them don't really matter per se.
I have a feeling this is my again, it's difficult because this seems like such a synergistic faction, and until we start putting decks together and playing, it's going to be really hard to kind of understand. But my gut instinct tells me makes me think that this is actually going to be quite hard to get value from.
Yeah, that's my feeling as well.
But like most legendary cards, for 3E, just those stats alone, if you think about like a Tyranny Prime, you never get its ability off, do you? You just play it because it's a good statted card on curve.
Yeah.
And I feel like this sort of falls into that category a little bit. So, like, it's at least a 3 just because if you play it on 3 and it just had no text, it's not bad.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing with Uprising is the effect can't, once it's been played out, it doesn't do the Uprising effect the turn after, I think he has to all go off on one turn. So I think if you did play this out on 3, it literally would just be a 4/3/4. It wouldn't.
Yeah.
The Uprising effect wouldn't come into play unless you played that 4E trigger Uprising effects.
Yeah, so you want to be playing it later in the game anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think a bit of the Psyker, the Primaris Psyker from Ultramarines, which is it's a 3 drop, but you rarely want to just play it on 3. You want to play it with a vehicle, don't you?
Oh yeah, the Tech Marine, yeah.
Yeah, the Tech Marine. Sorry, not Psyker. Yeah, Tech Marine. So overall, I think it's I'd probably give this a 3, maybe a 4, but it's not that great for a legendary, is it?
I think, yeah, I guess I would say 3 or maybe 2.5. We've not seen all the Uprising cards yet, but a lot of the Uprising effects seem more damage based, not stat based. I don't know. We'll have to see how this guy fits in. We might see a card.
Yeah, we'll come back. All right, so the Acolyte Heavy, 4 drop, 5 health, which is good. And then again, the wonky stats, the 5-0, it can trade up if it survives, but it can be taken out for free. But it is ambush again, so your opponent doesn't know what it is. And it's gain +2, it gets to attack, so that'd be a 7. Jesus. And it's his strike, create a random sabotage in the enemy hand. It is random. Again, to me, this like all comes down to how good ambush is. Now, one thing we'll say at this point of the collection, this thing has 5 health. So my thought is that ambush starts to get better as the health goes up, right? Like, because even if you hit me, you don't necessarily take it out. So the thing could at least then still hit back with its 5 health.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't trigger ambush, it's still hitting you back at 5 melee. Sorry. But I do think that again, playing this on 4 might actually be weaker than playing it on, say, 6 or 7. I don't know, though.
Yeah, I'm starting to think with a lot of these ambush cards, you probably want to play out a couple at once. If you just put one out, you're just kind of asking for it to get punished for it.
I'm not sure on this one. I get a sense that we'll have a look at the other 4 drops, but I get a sense that this might end up being not a very good card, particularly if you can read it right. Like if you can start to predict the ambush cards, then this would be terrible. But
Yeah.
I don't know how easy it's going to be to predict.
What do you think of the strike effect?
I think the strike effect is it's okay. The only thing is that to get that off, you've got to survive.
Yeah.
So what are you hitting? Like you've got this big attack. Generally, if you've got 5-7 attack, you want to be able to take something big out. Like whereas this, you kind of almost got to hit the warlord just to get the strike off.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's probably closer to a 2, this card.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I'd agree. I think there's the 6 drop that has the same strike effect, but because it has flank, you get to put it where you want. Resist. Yeah, I feel like that guy's strike is going to be awkward.
Now the Acolyte Leader is a basic card, and it says when your opponent plays a stratagem, give +1 melee and +1 health to your troops, and that is give +1 health, not heal. And pretty round stats. This seems like one of those cards where if you play it onto an empty board, is where you've got most chance of getting some value, right? Because then they'd have to use a flanker, wouldn't they, to get rid of it? Because if they use these spells, then stratagems, then the thing goes off.
I'm curious what order it would trigger in. Like if this guy got down to 1 HP and you got hit by Imhotep's ping, would he die first, or would the effect trigger first? What I would say, I think this is the first of our like sabotage payoff cards, because sabotage cards are stratagems. So if you're stacking a lot, then you play this guy. Say you've stacked like you've given the opponent stratagems turn 1, turn 2, and then you play this guy in turn 3. Your opponent's then given another choice of, okay, well I need to start dumping these stratagems out, but I kind of don't want to do it right now because I'm giving this guy bonus stats.
True. Yeah, that is true. It is a basic card, isn't it?
I mean, 4/4 with like even having like the super even stats, I feel makes it like not a bad proactive drop.
Yeah.
I think probably more of a sabotage synergy card than one you just slot into everything. Because the opponent playing a stratagem stuff, like you want to have this down when your opponent is being forced to play stratagems. You don't want to put it down and like hope they play a stratagem.
Exactly, which, like you said, you kind of want it to be proactive, and generally you want it to be when you don't have a board. Like when you're on the draw, and you know if you've gone first and stuff. Yeah, I think overall it's probably going to be somewhere between a 2 and a 3. All right, let's keep whizzing through. We got the Acolyte Specialist. This thing is again wonky stats on the attack, but it is ambush again. And it does come with Blast 2. That's not an ambush ability, it just has blast 2, so that's pretty good. I mean, if you could obviously swing for 5 attack and blast 2, take that every day of the week. And it says create a random sabotage. I think this is better than the one we looked at before, isn't it?
The free drop one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it's more likely to although yeah. I don't know, this is like another ambush card where it's like, well, won't they just like pop the ambush straight away and it's not going to get the value?
I suppose if they do, I don't know. I was going to say, I suppose if they do, because it does come with blast 2. If you hit for 5 and get blast 2 off, that's all you need from this.
Maybe this is one of the ambush cards where you're going to start considering comboing him with the little 1-drop.
Oh yeah, flanker.
Yes. Flank guy, because then you're getting the good stats for trading plus the blast, and then you're also getting the sabotage. So maybe this is more of a combo card than a card you just play out.
Dude, that 1-drop is so broken because we didn't even think about that, did we? Like, we didn't even think about the fact that we can make ambushers flank specifically.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts that
it triggers ambush.
Yeah, I mean that we need to put that card into tier 6 now.
That 1-drop is a solid 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
pretty good. I don't even know if they revealed this one, but it's a hybrid metamorph.
Again, like
blast 1. Pretty rounded stats. This is uprising though. Gain +2 range and 1 health, making it a 6 range and 5 health card. Again, you can't play it on 4 then, can you?
Yeah. It's almost I suppose, we were talking about the free drop legendary that gives stats in uprising, and I guess this is a guy that is wanting to like just beef up his stats through uprising.
I think this is an unplayable card, mate. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see.
I think you would need to also be playing uprising cards that can deal with the board, because I don't think you could get away with just like doing a big uprising when you got a bunch of guys with like, you know, big stats. I feel your uprising needs to be like doing tempo stuff, like, you know, killing units, not just like giving yourself a bunch of stats. And he's a bit too expensive to just like use him as like uprising fodder like the one of you guys is.
Do the buffs stay on permanently or just the end of the turn?
Oh, I think this guy's uprising buff should be permanent.
So, just trying to think about the combo then. So, is there a world where this guy becomes like a big finisher then, where like you've got it's like E8 and you've got 4 neophytes saved and this guy, and you just drop them all so that this guy uprises like 3-4 times, and he's just a giant unit. Is he designed to be that kind of card that is the big card in the go wide deck, if that makes sense?
Maybe I don't know. It's just the thing is with effects like that. I mean, if you're spending all of your 8 energy just to create one big card, I feel like that card just dies in like against most decks. I don't know. Like I don't. Yeah, I don't really rate this card. The uprising effect isn't that good, and it's not. He's not cheap enough to like just use him as like uprising like combo fodder, like some of the cheaper cards you could do.
All right, so that was the first page done. Right, let's just whiz through some of these a little bit quicker because I'm conscious of. In fact, I'm probably gonna fall asleep because.
So my takes aren't that boring, I think.
No, it's more the fact that I've been up since 3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to give bullet point takes.
But Nexus is a 4-drop and it's stealth, and this is the first artifice unit. It's gain +1 until next turn. Problem for me is I don't think it's a very good artifice effect, do you? Although
Your Warlord does get it, which I guess is cool.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
But I guess it goes away, it's not like a permanent buff or anything.
It goes away. It goes away. But I mean, with stealth, the stats are acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd probably say this feels like a 3 to me.
Yeah, I think with 3 words. Yeah.
Now, here's a card that didn't get talked about, and it's our main flanker. It's a 4-drop, and it just flanks with 5 melee. I think this is a classic case of it's very boring, it's very dull, it's not nothing that interesting about it.
And you put it in every deck.
And you put it in every deck. Every deck.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you know, five melee is pretty good for just like killing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel this guy probably does what he needs to do.
It's basically like the Chaos Possessed Marine, which is a legendary card.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that thing gives itself a Dark Pact after it's traded, but whoopee do. You know, the fact that we can take 2 of these, same stats. It's a basic card. I mean, I think this is like it's almost stupid printing this card, isn't it? Because it's like you make all these fancy mechanics, and people are going to choose this over them every time, aren't they?
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a 2 of in most decks. I mean, yeah, you know, it's just It's
Do we call it a 4 out of 5, or we give it a 5 out of 5? I don't know. It's like
I guess I'd say 4.
I feel like it's a solid 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Aberrant is another wonky statted creature. At 5e, we get 5 health but with armor, and also we get 6 range attack. Sorry, 6 melee attack. And it's ambush, right? So the opponent doesn't know that it's got 0 range. Should be pretty difficult to take out.
Yeah, because the Warlord's going to ping in, it's only going to have done 1 damage.
If he does get to ambush, it's a bit like turns it a bit like into a Lich card.
Yeah, so I think he has those kind of stats.
But overall,
I don't know. This is... ambush and Vanguard seems a little weird because the only way to, I think the main way to proc your own ambush is to give it flank, and then is giving flank to give yourself Vanguard doesn't seem. I don't know, it just doesn't really seem like things that go together. Maybe the ambush on this is more of a bonus and you're just taking this for the stats and the armor. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, maybe...
I think this is another one, isn't it, where it's like...
all the ambush cards are just bloody question marks.
Yeah, it's like, how good is ambush? That's what I'm thinking. I'm literally thinking, God, if ambush is really good, then this could be a good card. Definitely. Yeah. You know, armor with solid health, putting out a lot of damage, right? If it's getting to attack, for 6 melee with 2 armor, that's really good. And there's a chance that it does because it's ambush, because our opponent. There's also the chance that our opponent tries to reveal it and hits it with their melee attack and just dies. And we survive because of the armor and the health. So it's definitely, I think this is another one for me where I think it's a 3. And if ambush turns out to be much better than I'm anticipating, then it could be a 4. But I think it's probably around the 3 mark.
Yeah, I think that's fair, yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look. The Clamavus.
So yeah.
Clamavus. Rally, stun an enemy. So that's like...
Psychomancer.
Psychomancer, which is a 4-drop. It's got Psychomancer stats as well, but this is a 5-drop because it then says rally, stun an enemy. And it also comes with talent. Talent is the Fox Hacker. Only costs 1 energy. It says choose a sabotage, put it to the enemy hand. I mean, that's very powerful, isn't it? If you get to use.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very mana efficient talent. You're paying like 1 to make them pay at least 2.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good. Now, is he ever going to use it? Is he ever going to get to use that talent? Probably not. I think this is the kind of card where opponents going to understand what that talent does and they're going to do everything to kill it. So then when you think about would you pay 5 energy for a Psychomancer, I'm like, it's alright.
Yeah.
I feel like it's maybe a 3.
It's interesting. I suppose the thing is at 5e is kind of the point when people start getting their bigger flankers that can do 5 HP.
Yeah.
So even if you are stunning the Warlord, like it probably won't be enough to save him. But I don't know. Like it does put a lot of pressure on the opponent. Like no one's gonna want that talent to stick around.
No. Sure. Cult Sentinel, the 5 all-round. I like this. This is one we talked about earlier, didn't we? About like
the sabotage payoff.
Yeah.
This is the second sabotage like payoff card. I think it seems quite. I'm not sure. I like if your opponent is being forced into playing stratagems, like you completely like choke their hand with sabotage, then obviously this guy's gonna feel pretty good to put down. It's just I don't know, these kind of engine cards with 5 HP I'm not super thrilled about. I feel that's like a little bit too squishy. Yeah, I mean same with the Vox Hacker guy, but at least the Vox Hacker guy stuns. I don't know, I can see this card just dying like every turn it comes down, to be honest. Even though it's cool that it has that sabotage synergy. But maybe that's its job. Maybe it's there to just like force the flank, and your opponent has to stick with those sabotage cards for another turn.
Yeah, and also with the 5/5, it's gonna hit back, isn't it? It's gonna hurt back whatever hits it, especially at 5.
Yeah.
I feel like it's good enough to get a 3. This
Okay, fair enough.
stopping people from removing it with a spell is big, and then they need to hit it with a decent flanker that will probably die itself. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Slither, I'm really sorry. I think what I'm going to do is just leave it there as like part 1,
Okay.
because I am not
Yeah,
doing a service. I'm really desperately falling asleep.
No worries,
Probably picked a bad time to record, but it's certainly not a reflection on obviously you or the faction. I think the faction's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to kind of going through the rest of it and getting my head around it. I am actually going to be. I bought the premium campaign. Are you planning on?
Yeah, I
spending
got the little starter bundle, but I've not paid the 50 quid for the
No.
ultra mega bundle.
You got the 5 packs and the premium campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've got, and I think that's the kind of like from an advice point of view. I think,
But if you're gonna buy premium anyway, you may as well get the little bonus packs.
exactly. And the premium campaign, guys, if you are new to this game, it is like easily the best value thing you can spend money on. And I'd kind of recommend like pick the faction you want and get the premium campaign, because it just continues to keep giving as well, doesn't it? With the 1100 pack. At the end. So
even when you're done, you're still getting stuff out.
Still
of it.
getting value. So 100%. I 100% recommend that bundle. I might actually drop some more cash on it as well, because I'm thinking that I might actually just really go for it and start, and so I can actually start playing decks quite early.
Yeah, I mean, you could make deck guys like day one if you
Exactly.
wanted.
I can do deck
Big
guys.
packs.
We could do some co-piloting. We could have some good content, and I can use it as one of. I'm planning on trying to use it as my 4th thing to rank up with if it works out. So yeah, so let's definitely
Call it a night.
call it a night here, and then we'll pick up on it like tomorrow. And like I say, I'm planning on doing some streaming Friday, Saturday, so we can kind of like have some fun and see what this stuff's like in practice. It's really fun. It's different. The mechanics are different, and that's one thing I'm happy about. Right, it's bringing something fresh to the game of Warpforge. That's what we want.
Alright, awesome. Hopefully catch you tomorrow then.
Yeah, alright, Slither, thanks very much, man. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, guys, I'll be back for part 2 shortly. Okay, guys, BJ here. We are back for part 2 of the Genestealer Cults card review. First of all, I just want to say huge thanks to Slither in part 1. I was absolutely useless when we recorded that. I was basically falling asleep from being awake at 3 AM and completely knackered. So apologies, my energy was a little bit low in the first half of this video, but hopefully I'm feeling refreshed, and hopefully it will be picked up. And I am also joined by fellow Collegium Magistrorum Alliance member Buggy. So Buggy, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, what's up? Nice to be here again.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, been a while. That's true.
Was it the 12-hour stream? Was that the last one you were on?
Yeah, that was the last one.
We had the Abaddon. We had the Black Crusade show match. That was cool.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. Just like all 9 and 10 drops. So Buggy, Slither and I have already kind of gone through from the Warlords up to the 5E cards. So
Yeah.
we'll pick up where we left off. But I did want to just quickly, first of all, just get your initial thoughts and impressions on the three warlords, which people will have heard, but they'd be probably quite keen to hear your thought as well. So obviously, Malak is the basic warlord, standard
Yeah.
stats, and he's the guy who comes with this. Heal 1 to your units. That obviously includes the Lord. It is heal. It's not give +1 health. And it's give them +1/+1 this turn. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this guy as a basic warlord?
I think it's a more go wide mechanic. You wanna spam your board with 1-cost troops, 2-cost troops, and wanna buff it with the hero power. Then make good trades, and yeah, I think that's the best option for this warlord, I would say.
I'm making more use of the sort of +1/+1 rather than the heal.
Yeah.
Read it,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And we're here with Papa Beard as well. Papa, welcome. And we're just reviewing part of the Genestealer cult faction, and we just started out with getting some thoughts on the warlords themselves. What do you think to this guy?
I cannot see any screen right now. Are you streaming or?
Can you not see the screen? Have I not actually shared my camera?
No.
Ah,
Was
okay.
looking at the website.
Ah, you were looking. I was wondering how you were keeping up so well. All right, so there we go. So guys, you should be able to see my screen as well. So Malak is standard stats, and he gives +1/+1 and heal. Very Junith-esque, right? Heal 1 to your units, including himself. So yeah, so me and Slither were saying that we could see this working okay in a more sort of mid-rangey ambush unit, because actually the cheap units don't benefit much from the heal, right? Whereas if it was give +1 health, they would. But obviously what they do benefit from is the second part of this, which is the stat boost
Yes.
to melee and range. It's not bad
Yeah,
though,
it's
is it?
it's a very flexible card also because it heals your warlord. So
Mm.
giving your
Yeah.
warlord 1 heal, and it's like the warmonger from Tau, but like only a little bit better. So I think most of the Genestealer cards are quite overtuned or have too low mana costing.
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to that. But yeah, it's you know,
Yeah,
as a
so-
starting warlord, it's not bad, is it? But it is a bit situational. It's not one that you'll be wanting to hit every turn, right?
Well, depends on if you're playing an aggro style deck, you hit that every turn because it heals your warlord while attacking. So it's like it's a 3-point turn for the health of the warlords. So it's only beneficial. I don't see any downsides of using this. And also, if the Genestealers have a lot of 3 and 4 health units, so even if they attack the warlord and you heal them for 1, they can attack again next turn, the 4 health units. And
Yeah.
that cannot be removed by the warlord, you know? I think, yeah, but keep going. That's
Yeah, it's
my
pretty
opinion.
good. No, it's a pretty good one. The next one was Magnus Nas, and she is similar again in terms of stats, basic stat line, but her ability is to choose a Genestealer cultist troop and add it to your hand, lower its cost by 1. So a couple of things that Slither and I discussed on this is that obviously we think that this is a bit like the Eldar cards in that it chooses a troop. It's not out of your deck, it's out of the faction pool, right? So it gives you access to cards that you perhaps didn't necessarily put in your deck.
Yes.
And obviously that can have upsides and downsides because could end up with some rubbish card, but it does lower its cost by 1.
So if I can, no, you want to keep going because my thing that I wanted to say is there was in Hearthstone in their 6th season they introduced a mechanic that was called Discover. And Discover was the mage started with discover a spell for. It was also 2 mana card, discover a spell, and reduce its cost by 1. This card was broken and played in every mage deck, and you only could put 2 copies of it in your deck. I mean, it was spells, it was not troops, but like draw 1 card, reduce its cost. It's basically a 1-cost draw card. It's man. It's like I said, the Genestealer talents are overtuned.
Insane value, right? Like this is just like
Insane.
ultimate value. You're never going to run out. I mean, even if you were playing something like Gazgul Fatigue, right? Like this just keeps drawing you cards from the fact it's not even out of your deck. It's like just keeps drawing you cards. It's like ultimate.
you can play situational cards if you're searching for a card too. It's
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
it's
Even legendaries.
so much. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they just come out of the common pool. I think you can even draw multiple legendaries. That's right.
Yeah.
And you can spam the board on the right situation, because if you they have Genestealers also have some cards to buff their cards or reduce the cost. This card in combination with the 6 mana card, which reduces cost by 3 from troops, it's gonna be insane.
It's gonna be
It's just gonna
insane.
be annoying. I don't really look forward to the meta right now, to the Genestealer meta.
Oh, I do, because in an hour from now, I'm going to be playing this
Oh,
nonsense.
I don't, no.
And we're also joined by Lord of Squirrels, so we are going full Collegium Magistrorum on this card review. Squirrels, how are you doing? Anything you want to add? Oh, anything you want to add to your thought on this particular warlord?
Oh, I mean, I noticed they all have like 35 health, which is pretty normal, I'd say, for Genestealer cults.
Yeah.
I don't know about that talent. It's very good talent. I mean, normal stats, of course, but the Genestealers look like to be a low-cost troop deck, pretty much. So 2 energy could be quite a lot if you don't. But if you don't have anything else to do, then it's perfect. Or if you already have a board, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But I think we got to debate like if it's worth to put in a troop or use the talent. One of the two, or you know, for future combos or whatever it's going to be.
Let's look at the final warlord, because then it's quite good to kind of compare the three, really. So then you've got Primus, Safa, Rihanna, and the talent, again, the stats are the same. Interesting that we don't have a 40 HP warlord in this faction right now. Inscrutable Cunning. Basically, choose one. So this is the Swiss Army knife. Do you want to draw a troop? Or do you want to draw a stratagem? Or do you want to heal one to your units? It's almost like so the subtle differences, right? That is draw a troop from your deck. So unlike the previous warlord, we're not coming from the general pool. It is from your deck. Or you can kind of thin out the stratagem, or you can kind of do what the basic warlord's ability of or at least half of it, which is healing one to your units. So this one seems to me more like the high skill ceiling kind of warlord, right? Like it's all going to be about making the right choice and having that kind of flexibility and stuff. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty.
Go on, Buggy. Sorry, I'll have to call you in one at a time because I'm realising that otherwise we'll all end up talking over each other. Yeah, Buggy. What do you think, Buggy?
I would say it's very flexible and it's not so strong as the 2 other, I would say, but I think in the right situations, I mean, you can choose if you want to draw a troop or stratagem, and so in some situations you need a specific troop or a specific stratagem, and then you can draw it.
Yeah,
so,
you might even get to a point where, me and Slither were saying, you might get to a point where, a bit like the Ultramarines last season, where you start to design decks around this. So do you design a deck that only has 4 stratagems in, including the legendary one? Do you see what I mean? So you kind of almost guarantee consistently to draw it, or even potentially similar the other way around. All right, so the warlords overall, we did discuss them at length, so the listeners will have heard all this. But I wanted to get you guys' views. We went through that. We went through all the sabotage cards, and we got up to where's it gone? We got up to this card. We just finished off talking about this. So we were saying that, you know, obviously things like the sabotage cards are stratagems. So this is quite a nice card in the sense that if they want to get rid of them now from the hand, then they're going to take damage. So this is kind of where we got to. And then the next card that we haven't talked about is this one. So why don't we jump in here? So this is the Metamorph Icon Bearer. 5 health for a 5-drop. Pretty even stats all round. But it says choose a 2-cost Genestealer Cultist troop and create 2 copies of it in your hand. Bearing in mind, when we talk about 2-drop, you've basically got a flanker. Back to here. So if we look at the 2-drops, we've got the Neophyte Hybrid, which creates a sabotage in the enemy hand. We've got an ambush card, that is. got the one that chooses a rally effect, which chooses a sabotage and adds it to the enemy hand. We think that card's much better than the previous one, just because it's rally and we get guarantee it. And then you've got obviously this one, which is an uprising card, but can basically gain flank. So I think that's all the 2-drops. So it's basically going to show you one of the 3 2-drops, and you get to choose it each time.
The thing, the squeak kind of thing is also a 2-drop. It counts as a unit.
Oh, does it? Okay. So there'll be one that you don't have a choice of, essentially.
You have 4
Yeah.
options there.
Yeah.
But fun that you didn't ask about our opinions about the last Warlord. But keep going.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. No, I didn't, did I? Yeah. So, yeah, go on then, Papa. So give us some thoughts on the legendary Warlord, and then what we think about this one.
No, I just agree with Buggy that his talent is inferior to the other 2s, and nobody will use the 1 heal, especially in very niche situations. It will always be draw a card for 2 mana, but it's still it's a power creep to Manu's Collegium. Maybe you can say Manus is a 40 health Warlord, that's why, but still it's like it's a overtuned power creep card. But still the worst of the Genestealers, but better than other talents, so yeah.
Okay, so this guy obviously is a form of card draw, isn't he? Do we think this guy can see play?
Yeah, probably. The reason why it's 25 health is the reason because it can heal. It has the opportunity, but the only pretty much the downside is it's draw a troop and draw a stratagem. It doesn't say which one, so it's pretty much you have to be lucky to draw the right troop, the right stratagem you actually need. And it costs 2 energy, so you can waste 2 energy. It's a possibility, but.
I mean,
It makes me think like the Chaos Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Pretty much RNG.
No, you can choose it. Which one you draw, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is what this is
true.
going to do. It's going to show
yeah.
you 3 cards. So if you look at how choose works as a mechanic in Warpforge, it will always show you 3 cards, and then you'll pick one of those, and then it will give you 2 copies of that card, that 1 card in your hand.
It's like Tiberius. Yeah.
I thought we were still talking about the last Warlord talent.
Yeah, it's the last Warlord talent. It lets you choose between drawing a stratagem, a troop, or heal 1. It's like Viro Tigris, the same, but on the way you have the 3 options of which which ability you use from his talent. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of broken.
So, Buggy, what do you think to this card then? This 5-drop.
I think the stats are pretty fair.
Yeah.
And we can compare it with, for example, Galeron and his play. So I mean, you get 2 troops in your hand for playing 1 card, so you can refill your hand with troops. I think it's good. It's a good card. It's not broken, but it's good. It will see play, of course.
Wow.
What I'll do on these is get everybody's score. So just for Papa and Squirrels, what we got is kind of 1 to 5 score. So 1 is unplayable, 2 is a bad card, 3 is situationally good. Like it's okay, it's an okay card, but it can be a bit meh. 4 is good cards. We think they'll actually be staples sort of in most of the decks, and 5 are those kind of like meta defining cards, like really good. So I think this is about a 4 for me. Actually, I think this is a good card.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you'll pretty much see 1 in every deck, pretty much, at least 1.
Yeah.
Oh, today I will think to imagine it's discover a card. It's 5 mana, 5 health, 5 for stats. The stats is pretty decent, pretty vanilla, but it's discover a card, which is better than draw a card,
100%.
and it's like 1.5 mana.
Yeah.
So
it's putting options in your hand, isn't it?
Yeah, I at least a 4. Yeah, I agree. It's this. From Hearthstone, I know that the discover mechanic is really strong and it's better than draw. So draw is like 1 mana, valued, and discovers 1.5 mana.
Yeah.
So that's like basically a 3.5 mana card for 5 health, 5 attack, for range. I mean, I will
Cool.
run 2, definitely. Only for the stats.
I'll be running 2 as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this guy. I like the flexibility, puts options in your hand, and depending on the theme that you're going with, you can choose the right 2-drop. So, yeah, good card. I'll keep moving us on because we've got a lot of cards to go through. So, next up, we've got a legendary card, which is Sanctus, and Sanctus is an ambush card. So, obviously, our opponent won't know how much mana we've spent. They won't know that we've played what we've played. And it comes with sniper, period, right? So 6 range and sniper is pretty good. If they don't reveal the guy and we actually get to attack with it, it will destroy a random enemy troop. And then obviously the sniper with 6 should be able to kill another troop. And remember how ambush works. If the thing that we're attacking is the thing that dies, we get to reallocate our attack. So in other words, if this guy gets to attack, he's basically killing 2 things a turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, that's the same.
It's got to be. This has got to be a 5, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Hard to say if it's
Maybe it's
a
a 4.
5.
Maybe
It's a
it's a
4, I would say, because you can still attack it, and if it dies, it doesn't have stealth. If it would have stealth, it would be much better. But
Yeah.
I
you're
mean,
you're
you
right,
want
Buggy, because like a can of
with-
tech destroyer from
yeah.
it's a 4-drop flanker, or the possessed marine from Chaos can just come
Yeah.
on and kill this, right, and just take 3 damage.
Right. Yeah.
It's in my opinion, it's one of the worst legendaries for Genestealers, to be honest, because I compare it to Talion, which has 6 health and camouflage. And if you are ahead, of course, you're gonna be in much better position. You will be just winning more. But by itself, would you drop it like on a board where you're behind? Like it will be. I will give it a 3 rate stars. 3 rate.
Yeah.
To be honest, but let's see how it plays out. But I think it's one of the not better legendaries. But yeah.
Yeah, I got to say, I got very excited there, and the more I think about it, I'm thinking this is closer to a 3, because you can cast spells on it, you can flank it, and one of the things Slither and I discussed yesterday is the ambush cards are a bit hard to kind of review before we got our hands on them, because a big part of how good ambush as a mechanic is, we think, is going to be how easy is it to kind of predict and play around them. And if the answer to that is it's actually quite hard, then this card is better. If the answer to that is it's really easy, actually, then this card is, it's.
But in the beginning, generally, it will be harder, I guess. But
Sure.
people will get accustomed to it. But what would you give the card if it would have 6 health? Would you stay on 3?
If it had 6 health, it would be much better, because there are a lot of 4E flankers that have 5 damage, and so I would say it'd be better.
I wanted to say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 5 health, it is susceptible to that. I didn't see that at first, but I think you made a good point there, Buggy. So we're thinking about 3 is about right for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given we
it's
don't
okay.
really know yet how effective ambush will be. All right, the next guy, interesting, lovely art on this guy. So he is another one of these wonky statted units. Quite a lot of wonky stats in this faction. He's not an ambush card, so the opponent will see this card, but he just comes with Vanguard and Armor too. So he's kind of like a slightly buffed Lich Guard in a way, isn't he, in terms of his stats? 2 armor and the 6 health. But for 6E, what do you guys think to this guy?
I still think it's very good. I mean, it has 1 HP more than Lich Guard, but Lich Guard is extremely good, and I mean, if it costs 1 more, it would still be played. So, and this guy has 1 HP more, so I really think it's a very, very good card. I wish Chaos would have those cards.
Oh, really? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming from the Chaos King himself. You know, there is a stratagem as well that costs 1 or 2 energy that puts like 2 health and 1 armor on something. You imagine slapping that on this and
Oh my
you
god.
just create a roll. Or the legendary 1-drop that just makes something invulnerable for a turn as well. Like this, there's some real combos. Yeah. So you giving this what are you giving this, Buggy?
I would say a 4.
Or what do you think,
Definitely
Squirrel?
a 4.
Anything you'd add on it?
I think it's a 3
Yeah.
because I think it's quite situational. Same with the Tyrant Guard. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Tyrant Guard is exactly the same, but 1 more energy. Well, 1 energy is quite a lot. For 1 HP, could be debatable.
it's 6 energy, you know, in a small troop cost deck.
Yeah.
It's debatable,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. How about you, Papa? Thoughts?
I wanted to say the same, like compared to Tyrant God, which is it's 1 mana less, but has 1 health less. It's just worse than that. I would give to be honest, I would give it 2 stars.
Yeah. You think it's
stars.
bad? Yeah.
On 6, it's I won't run it, and I don't think there's any deck I want to play as Genestealers where I want to have a big taunt in it.
Mm.
Like for which reason? If you're
Well,
losing,
the
you're
main
losing.
reason is to protect ambushers, right? Like it
Yeah,
stops
yeah.
stops your opposing warlord from just attacking to see what an ambush unit is. So especially if you're going like lower to the ground ambushers, I could see this guy having a role where because it's specifically the warlord you want to stop from hitting those things. So yeah, that there is a role, but like I agree, like it's I'd take a Lich Guard over this any day, like as a 5e and can
100%.
resurrect the thing. It's not
And
quite on
also-
that league.
And also, like you said, you can use it to protect ambushes, but then you have ambushes on your board already when you are able to play a card, which it's again win more. Like if you're winning more. Like I don't like this card, so it's for me it's 2 stars. What you give
Yeah,
it?
I'm giving it a 3 initially, and guys, for everybody listening, just bear in mind we're theory crafting here. None of us have got the cards. We haven't
Yeah.
seen how everything goes together. So take all this with a pinch of salt. We will probably change our minds a month from now, because we're just giving you kind of like initial thoughts to help you out. But yeah, I mean, I'd say this guy's around a 3 for me. Situationally good. Sometimes it'll be a bit meh. I don't think it's ever like that bad having a 6 health 2 armored unit that block. You know what I mean? Like, so I'd say like about a 3 for me. And but I would definitely want to. I wouldn't just stick these in automatically. I'd kind of want to have a deck where I could see this guy fitting in. Also, when we get to the stratagems, I might think back to this card because I want to kind of see how the cheap strats kind of could interact with some of these beefy units. All right, let's move on. We got another 6-drop. This guy is a flanker, and he has strike. Create a random sabotage in the enemy hand. Slightly lower stats on the attack front for a 6-drop. You know, it's nowhere near sort of Squig Buggy or Vet Storm Boy kind of levels, but still a good ability. Yeah, Buggy, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's not the best flanker, but I think the strike ability is very good in this case, and I mean you can combine it with other cards I saw, and the lower the cost to 1 card. For example, you play it, you flank, you put it back in your hand, and then you flank again. It's
so good that.
Yeah, and the enemy has 2 sabotage in his hand, so it's I think it's very good in this kind of play style.
Yeah.
In other factions maybe not, but in this faction, I think this card is very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, it's a 3 for me. It's quite situational as well. Like the stats are just too low, I think, for a 6-drop. But that's pretty much it.
I don't think you can treat this like a Vet Storm Boy or a thing where you go, I'm using this as a 6E card to trade with the 6-drop that my opponent just played. It's a trade down card, but it is good at that, and it will survive, and it does have the extra benefit of... it's clearly one that you put in a sabotage deck, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd run it in outside a pure sabotage deck, but I think it's quite good in that. Any thoughts on it, Papa?
Yeah, if I would have 6 range attack, I would give it like a 4-star. But since that's 5, which is kind of weird for a 6-drop, and it has to survive too with 6 health on 6. I'm not trading against a lot of other 6-drops with getting the strike off.
Yeah.
But like it like Buggy said, it's very had good synergy with other Genestealer cards. But I would give it like a 3.5, 3.
Yeah, I'm around there too. You know, I mean, again, opponent plays Lich Guard, you play this, come on, whack it with the range attack and the Lord, and you put the thing in there. The question for me is going to be how powerful sabotage builds are, and if they are very powerful, then this card is going to be good. But it's yeah, just looking at it kind of in isolation, I think it's decent, but it's more. It's definitely not like super powerful broken or anything, but probably 3.5ish. All right. Now we do have the 6-drop called the Hulking Aberrant. This guy's concussive. Again, he's ambush. Our opponent does no idea. They hit this guy. If they hit with melee, then they end up stunned. That's the real big thing there. Obviously, if this guy gets to swing, I mean, he's doing 10 damage if he doesn't if he stays in ambush, obviously. But he has the massive weakness of 0, right? So a Squig Buggy just attacks this and it dies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What do you think to this, Squirrel?
It's very RNG heavy. 6-drop is yeah. I mean, if a Swarm Lord hits it, pretty much, it's
He's dead.
it's very yeah. I don't know. It's not good, I'd say, but I think it's also kind of situational, really.
Is this one that we just look at the meta and we go, it's a Tyrannid, Chaos, Warshaper meta, we stick this guy in?
Oh,
or
yeah.
it's an Eldar Tau meta, there's no way in hell we play this card. Is it like really binary? I don't know.
100%. For me, yeah.
I think it's like a bad card initially, but then I do think like in those type of melee metas, like it's just a nightmare for Swarmlord or Chaos. This. What do you think, Papa?
I look at this card, it's like a meme card. I think you could have a lot of cool YouTube videos with this. Because if someone hits them for 10 damage, my god.
That's a great idea, just a YouTube video of like clipped like 50 games where someone's attacked the Hulking Aberrant and it's just gone, oh shit.
Do you have any buff cards?
But if I think about like me playing Sisters against that, it's like I would laugh. Because they never attack melee except, okay, I cannot say that, but they rather use range attacks. But if I use a Sapphire Blade, it trades into it and it kills it. So it's really dependent. But like you said, in the current meta, it could be really funny.
Yeah.
Against Warshape, I will play this 100%. Like, but
yeah.
Well, I want to. It's like a card hard to rate for me, but I will give it a 3.
Yeah.
Because just of the damage potential, and like you have the Genestealer aggro style. I think that will be played a lot, and this fits just good into it.
The one thing I'd give this guy a 2 with it if it was I'm going to give him a 3, but I would give him a 2 if it wasn't for the fact that. So I look at this card and I go, let's imagine that we put it down, our opponent attacks us and reveals us, so we don't get the ambush off. But what I would say is it has got 6 health, so the chances of them necessarily just killing it from that attack are low. So even if they do that and they manage to guess and hit the range attack, we probably still get to swing with this guy, and he's still 7 attack and concussive. So stunning something is powerful, and putting 7 damage on something is good. So I think for me he's probably around a 2.5. But yeah, I think about 2.5. I agree with Papa's description though. It's a proper meme card, and it's going to be some fun. I'll tell you one thing: I would never play this in a tournament deck. Like any open deck list format where your opponent knows you're running this thing, you would just never play it, right?
You don't know, because if this card has 7 or 8 health, it's gonna be a terror. But
yeah,
I have some ideas, but let's see how the meta turns out. But it's definitely a meme card.
Yeah. You can also put this one in and put a lot of ambush with range attacks in. They'll think, oh, he's gonna go all range attack. Let's go melee this time.
I tell you one thing we haven't that you guys won't have seen, but me and Slither obviously reviewed this card, and it's interesting thinking about it in combination with that one, which is the 1-drop. So on E7, playing that card with this could be interesting, right? Because this gives it flank, and now it's 10. Now it is getting 10 damage concussive and flank for 7E. That's pretty goddamn good.
That's a removal, dude. It's removal 8.
Actually, that's 11, right? Because of the +1, so that would be 11 melee attack. Oof.
Yeah, that's removes just big tanks.
This card is, by the way, me and Slither both gave this card a 5, by the way.
Yeah.
This card is so broken.
It kills Triumph of St. Catherine.
You can have 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. All right, combos are where it's at with this faction. Combos are where it's at. So, all Alright, so we got to this one, which is the Metamorph Leader. Your troops cost 1 less, and this is an Uprising card.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, he crashed.
Can you hear me?
Correct. Okay.
Ah,
There we
no,
are. Yeah,
now we
there
can
we are.
hear you. Yeah.
So the Metamorph Leader is an Uprising card, and just to remind everybody, it's like Rally, but it's only on the second troop played that turn, so you don't get it on if you just play 1 card a turn. So basically, this gives a +1 melee attack to all friendly troops. But the big thing is, regardless of the Uprising, which I don't actually think the Uprising's that good, your troops cost 1 less. So it's got the Onshi ability kind of thing. Except Onshi is infantry only. This is all troops. So 6/6/6 all round, and troops costing 1 less. I think that's a good card. I'd give that a 4. It's all at 6 energy, like 6 health's not great. There's no shield or armor. Definitely can be taken out, obviously, but I still think it's pretty good. And obviously in the late game, if you're in like E10, E11 and you play this card, then you could do some silly things like playing out loads of cheap Uprising cards, and you could just swarm the board. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Anything to add?
Yeah, it has to be removed. If the opponent play this, if you play this, it has to be removed, else it can get out of hand, pretty much.
So it's got that soft Vanguard kind of ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, my opinion is it's a little bit worse than Onshi, but
yeah,
just by a little bit. But it has it's overtuned by its capabilities, so I would give it a 5. Onshi is a 5 card. Everybody agrees, right? It's a 5-star card too. So
you think this is a 5, yeah? Yeah. What about?
Yeah, you can put 2 of it in your deck. Onshi is a legendary.
That's true.
So this is why I'm giving it a 5.
That's true. There's an Uprising card here, isn't there? So I was thinking it's quite interesting with this one, because this is Uprising, and it's gain flank. So if you'd be making this only cost 1 energy. So you can imagine playing out like 2 of these with that card for 8. That's double flank, getting buffs to both melee and range. There's again, this faction is incredibly synergistic, which is what I'm loving about it. Kind of hard.
It's a 2-mana tomb plater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on that one, Buggy?
Like Papa said, it's like Onshi, and you can have 2 of it in your deck. I wouldn't say it's 5 stars, but 4 definitely good 4 stars.
Good 4, yeah. All right, next up, we have a legendary card, the Redictus Saboteur. Biggest thing for this guy is he's just straight up stealth. We know how powerful stealth is, and stealth with 6 health is a nightmare. It's real difficult to get rid of this guy, other than something like no mucking about. So, yeah, he's pretty survivable. And then, this combo that I'm really liking at the minute, which is stealth or camouflage with blast. They've started to do this recently. This guy hitting back at 5 range attack with 4 blast is, well, he's a bit of a nightmare for Junif, that's for sure. An Artifice deploy concealed explosives. So every time we cast a spell, it's going to drop one of the... Oh no, not one of those. Oh god, that would have been seriously bad. Where's concealed explosives? Oh, is that the 5/1 thing that...
One drop. A 2 drop? Yeah, 2 drop.
Or is it a... No, it's a 2 drop, right?
Yeah, it's 2
drop. Yeah.
Squeak Buggy from the Genestealers. Not the Buggy, the Squeak.
Yeah, it's the one that does... it hurts itself and then blows up and does 2 to 3 damage, isn't it?
Oh no, it's a 1 drop, I think.
No, it's a 2 drop. It's
a 2 drop. Yeah, it's a 2 drop.
There it is. Yeah.
There it is. So it can't attack, but at the start of your turn, it kills itself, and that's important because ambush only triggers if it's your turn. So it kills itself at the start of the turn and basically does 2 to 3 damage. And of course, if someone, because it's ambush, people can't see it. If somebody attacks it with a melee damage, although you'd have to be a bit of an idiot to do that, because this one is a giveaway, right? Like, this is a real giveaway. We know it's this card, so why would you ever attack its melee? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's true.
Still, 105 star.
Yeah, I would also say 5 stars because it has blast 4.
Yeah.
And, it's a board clear.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It must have in every deck.
I mean, you play those 6, and if it's stealth, it survives most likely if it's no mucking about. But if you get 7 and you play
you can play a lot of tactics over the cards to activate artifacts.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have like 3 of them deployed, and then what you gonna do?
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna agree. I think we're all saying this is a 5. Let's keep moving.
Oh,
The,
100%.
the new cards are out in 20 minutes, boys, and I intend to go and bust some
keep
packs
going.
open and get playing. So let's keep going. All right, we got a 7 drop, an Abominant. Can't even say that. Again, concussive. Again, this kind of like wacky 7 melee but 0 range. It is ambush again. I'm starting to think you're supposed to hit ambushes with range attack, guys. I don't know about you. Overall, and it says gain armor 2 if it does ambush. So with 7 health and armor 2. It is a basic card. I actually feel like it's a bit of a pipe dream, this card. But I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's a 2.
I think it's a 2, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
I
want
would
to play
I
it.
would give it a 1.
You give it a 1, you think it's completely unplayable.
First
Yeah,
one.
completely.
Maybe, I mean, I'll have to see the rest of the ambush cards, but maybe if you're going pure ambush, where your opponent really was having to guess all the time, like maybe. Because the one thing going for this, right, is you look, it's my turn, it's E7, I play this card, you can't see that I've spent 7 energy. Right, that's the way ambush works. That's the biggest thing for ambush. So you don't know whether I've dropped a 1 drop or you don't know what I've dropped. And that's the one thing I think that's going for it. But outside of that, I think it's a bit of a pipe dream.
You can calculate the ambush. Like if it only plays 1 troop, 1 ambush, and then it skips its turn, then you pretty much know it played all this energy, or maybe 1 off.
Potentially, yeah. But they don't know it. They're just guessing it.
Yeah.
And there's and to that point, you know, I guess the ambush player knows that, and so you would a really skilled player would start to play around that as well.
Oh god.
You know, there's things you
And
can
also
do.
the Genestealers have so good cards. Why would you put that in your
Yeah.
deck?
Right.
You'll
Definitively.
start to counterplay the counterplayer, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's like on E7 with my Grook deck. I'll often just like heal, and the reason I just heal and don't develop the board is because it makes my opponent think that Will of Gork's coming, and I don't even have Will of Gork. But it works all the time. People just don't develop the board the next turn, and I just bought myself a turn off, right? Because so you know I can see like those types of mind games becoming a thing with ambush. Anyway, let's move on. So this is a card I think will be played. I can't believe we can have 2 of these. It's a rare card. And it says rally. Deal damage to an enemy equal to the number of cards in the enemy hand, which means to me this is clearly meant to be intended in a sabotage deck. Turn if it survives, this thing strikes and can basically deploy 2 neophyte hybrids. That is the card that has 3 health. There's 2 drop with 3 health that basically when it attacks puts sabotage cards into the enemy hand. So this is like a late game sabotage type of card. I think this is like I'm not willing to call this a bad card. But I think speed matters at this stage of the game, and I would say that I would give this a 3. I think this is the definition of like it's going to be pretty meh, but there will be situations definitely where it is good. What do you guys think?
100% agree. Yeah, it does nothing on its turn, and it's 7 energy. So it's pretty dead at the first turn, but it's 1 armor. I mean, it's pretty hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
You can have a hard removal on this guy. But if it survives, it's going to be quite nasty.
I would say it's solid. It's not a good card, but it's not a bad card. I would give it 2 to 3 stars, I would say. But I don't think that it will see play, to be honest.
Finally, we have disagreement.
Oh.
Great.
Oh,
Because we've all been so on one point with that card. This card is gonna be annoying as fuck. I'm gonna tell you this. This stat line is annoying as fuck. It's so we didn't learn anything from the Predator meta. The Predator was not only good because it did something on its turn. It was so fucking hard to remove. And this card is the same. It's gonna be annoying as hell. I'm gonna give this a 5 star.
Oh,
It's gonna-
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I like. No, seriously, I mean, like, there's no chance in hell I would give this a 5, but I love the fact that one of us has, because I think, like, when you do, like, a group thing, it's quite nice to do that. I mean, like, you know, maybe we'll come back to this in a month and kind of, like, see what we think once we've played it and stuff.
It's 3.5 for me.
I mean, one thing I do agree with Papa on is that, like, okay, it does nothing on it turn it comes down, but if your opponent wants to get rid of it, they're going to have to throw something at it. Like, the cheapest thing they could throw at this is something like a no mucking about, right? Like, they're going to have to throw something pretty decent to get rid of this, like a Vet Stormboy with Makari and all the rest of it. Like, it's not going to be cheap to remove, and even then, if it's Vet Stormboy and Makari, well, that's 7 energy that they paid to get rid of it, and it still kills the Vet Stormboy back, so it's definitely not a bad card. It's just a slow card. It's just a big, fat, lumbering truck that just takes a while to get going.
but to be honest, guys, if we compare it with the Hellbrute of Chaos, Chaos has 7 health and 2 armor.
Yeah, exactly.
And this card isn't that broken. Okay, it's a very good card, but it's not broken.
I'd give the Hellbrute like a 4 or a 4.5 though, whereas I'd give this like a low 3, I think.
Okay.
But the point is his stat line. 7/7 is a really good break point for a lot of things to kill.
It's true.
And also Hellbrute's ability sucks in comparison to this. This is strike. You don't have to play another card which costs mana, so you trigger it. You just have to attack with it, which you want to do. And drop and two mana units. Oh my god, this card is going to be annoying. But let's see what it plays.
I'm excited. Okay.
To be fair, that's a good point. I didn't actually think too much about the deploy tune. Is the fact it deploys them. It doesn't put them in your hand. It's like just played 4 energy worth of cards. I mean, that's massive. So you're right. Like, the strike ability on this is actually pretty phenomenal. But it's all about, like, if it gets to do it. Yeah.
Well, we talked about the 1 mana card of Genestealers, so hi.
I'm looking forward to, there we go, Papa Beard Goliath truck mid-range deck coming to you soon. All right, next up we got speaking of Goliath, they both called Goliath? Yeah, so now we got the Goliath Rock Grinder. This thing is, I mean, if the last one was a tank, I mean, this really is a tank, right? So for 8 energy, we've also got the armor, 8 health. This is getting into the realms of really difficult to bloody remove now, unless you've got hard removal. 9 melee, 7 range, armor 1, blast 4. And it's a basic card. I actually think, I'll tell you what I think about this card. I am so happy about this card because this is exactly what I would want if I was starting to play Warpforge today and didn't spend a penny on the game and was looking at the big stuff in my collection. This is the kind of card that I think for beginner decks is really good because it's actually going to be okay, like in the game. Like, it's not obviously as good as the best 8 drops in the game, But for a beginner, it's actually going to be okay. Unlike a lot of the other factions, when you look at some of their 8 drops, which are just like completely pointless cards and are never going to be played, this is a card that can be played, and it will be very good in draft as well, this card. So in draft, I would give this probably like a 4. But I think in the main game, I would say, for me, I would say this is a 3, a low 3. But if you're a beginner, you're happy. What do you guys think to that assessment?
I agree 100% with you, so the other guys can say what they think. I also would give it a 2.5.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
It depends on what you can do on tier 8. That's different beside this.
Well, we're coming on to that. There's some good things you can do.
I mean, its body is really good. That's why I'm debating, like, Blast 4 even?
Yeah.
Oh, normally it's Blast 2 or something they put in randomly. But Blast 4 is really good.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 3.
In a slower meta, it will definitely see play, but at the moment, I don't think so. So
no. You wouldn't mind this coming out of a Black Crusade, though, would you, Buggy?
Yeah.
Oh hell, fuck yeah.
Go on, Papa.
Yeah, Buggy's right. That body's great, but
yeah, it just doesn't do well on the turn it comes down, does it? Which is never good for 8. Now, speaking of 8 drops, guys, it's an epic. Can have 2 of them. It's Kelemorph, and it comes with Sniper with 8 range damage. So that in itself is like really, really strong. And it's an uprising card, so it's interesting because this makes me think a little bit of something like the Zonothrope. The Zonothrope, sometimes you play it on 5, and you're like, oh, I don't know. I always remember Shimatsu saying you don't play Zonothrope on 5. It's not a 5 drop. You play it on 7 because you have to combine it with the hero power. And it's going to be the same with Kelemorph. I don't think you play Kelemorph on 8. You never just put this guy out there to die. You've got to get the Uprising ability right, because the Uprising is deal 1 damage to a random enemy 6 times. By the way, if you trigger that you can trigger that multiple times in a turn. How insane is that? So if it was E11, you could drop 3 of the 1 drops after this thing and do what? 18? Am I right? That would trigger 18 pings of 1. Holy schmoly. I mean, but he's not an 8 drop. That's what I'm trying to say here. This guy is something you need to be playing at least probably on E9. Maybe even later than that.
Yeah, you want to trigger the Uprising 100% of the time.
Yeah. And that does mean that you will have games. Think about games. How often do you get to play a Wraith Knight or a Monolith? Like a lot of games don't go on to E9, E10, E11. So that's its one drawback. But its upside is massive for me. What do you guys think?
And it's also very good against armor, for example.
It's really good against armor.
Oh, yeah.
Only 1 damage all the time.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 armor, he doesn't care.
Nice finisher against the Orc Warlords.
Yeah, but it's still random, and that's the problem. And it's hard to say. It can be broken, but it can also be very shitty.
Yeah.
Depends on the target. I mean, if the enemy has flutes the board, this card will do nothing.
I'm a bit confused about the description. Like, do you want damage to a random enemy 6 times? So, like, 6 damage to 1 random enemy? Or is this across the board?
6 times to the same enemy.
Same enemy, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, 8/8 with Sniper is pretty dangerous already.
Yes, but he doesn't have stealth.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know.
It's one of those cards where I'm looking at it and I'm going, look, it's not a bad card. And it could be, if you speak to me a month from now, this could be anything from a 3, like a low 3 to a high 5. I just don't know like how ridiculous it's going to be. But my suspicion is that you look at a card like this and go, oh wow, it's amazing. And then after you play 50 games with it, you go, what did it do over 50 games?
Right.
And I think what's going to happen is you're going to say, well, in about 35 of them, it did nothing because I didn't get to play it. And in 5 games, it won me the game. and so I kind of want to come down on this right now as a 4. I think I will say it's a low 4.
You gotta take into account like Genestealer cards. Are they a quick faction? You know, do they want to win games quick? If it is, 8 energy is quite late, really late for Genestealer cards. If it
It was
is.
also the only point I have. It's too expensive. And the funny thing is, Calomorph in the tabletop game is a pretty low cost unit. And I don't know why they made it 8 energy. If it will be, it will.
Stupid. Like, imagine we drop this on E10 with 2 1-drops. That's double uprising, so that's 12 pings. Then our opponent doesn't remove it because we just blew their board up. We've got nothing to remove it. Then next turn, we could trigger this like 8 times.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stupid. So I don't know.
I have one question for you. You drop this on 9 with the invulnerability card, which will trigger its uprising.
Oh my god, yeah.
Would you concede immediately?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm sticking with a low 4 overall, but I do think this is one of those cards that's going to have a massive like ceiling and a flaw that's just it does nothing.
It's a fun card and a big ups to the developers for being brave. And
yeah, kudos to the EG for this card. It's a really cool design. So glad we haven't just got a rally, deal 3 damage. This is what I want to see. Like cool things. Really well done. Really great design.
Yeah, well done card. True.
All right. Speaking of the big lads, we've got Patriarch. The Patriarch is a legendary, so only one of them, and it's ambush. So again, this is one of those, isn't it, where your opponent not knowing what it is, and I'll just hit it with the Warlord and see what happens, and it's like boom. Anyway, give +3/+3 to all your units if it does get to attack. And its talent, if it survives a turn, its talent is for 2 energy, deal 6 damage to an enemy troop. If it dies, draw a card. Now, I mean, that's a 6 out of 5 ability. I mean, that's an amazing ability. Obviously, talents we don't always get to play. But how do you guys feel about this card?
Can I say first?
Yeah, go ahead, Papa.
Thank you very much. So I'm first disappointed because that's Gozar. That's one Warlord usually. It's one big unit in Warhammer. I wish they would make it a Warlord. So now it's a legendary. The thing about this card is it looks very amazing. The effect is amazing. The ambush is quite good, but it reminds me too much of Sicarius from Ultramarines. Like also the same, like a 2-mana talent which is broken, big body, but 9 mana. I don't know. I'm really disappointed. I wish it would be a little bit less cost, maybe to tone down the effect. If this would be 7 mana, ambush give 2/2 and like 8/7 stats with 7 health, I would play it. But on 9, no, I'm disappointed. I was really looking forward to Gozar.
Yeah, this makes me think right away of Avatar of Cain. Pretty much amazing stats, a good ability,
Exactly.
pretty much the
Very
same.
I think Avatar's a 1. It's unplayable. I think this is a 2. I think it's going to be great in draft. It's going to be decent for beginners, top end, but outside of that, it's a bad card. I think it's a 2.
Yes.
What do you think, Buggy?
Yeah, it has no armor, and you will never use the talent because it will be removed. So
Yeah.
it's like Galeron, and I don't think that it will see play. So I will give it 2 stars.
I'll be really gutted if
we
that's the
but
first
we have to,
legendary I open.
we have to see how the ambush mechanic turns out, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
the ambush
but-
is the thing that's interesting about that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Buggy. 100%. Like,
If you drop it at if you drop 1 card at 9 energy, 9 energy, you know it's this card.
Never
so-
attack it.
Yeah, you will not attack it.
But then
with
doesn't
your
that work
Evo.
into its favor? Because that's the point of ambush, right? Because, like, okay, so I drop this on 9, you don't attack it, right?
Yeah.
So that means it's my turn. So now it's my turn. I've got 10 energy to deploy a load of stuff, and then when this guy attacks, they all get +3/+3.
Yeah,
so-
I would remove it with flank, but I would never attack it with the warlord. That's
Oh,
what I
no,
mean.
no. Right, okay. So you're not saying not attack it at all.
Ne-
You're just
I-
saying not with the warlord. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
and if you most people, like Buggy said, will ignore it. It's 9 mana. At 9 mana, can you afford be behind or like even and play this card?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think you made a good point there, Papa, which just got me thinking, which is it's another example of we kind of need to see how ambush works in practice. Like, if ambush is like just the really problematic mechanic, then this card might be a bit better than I'm initially giving it credit for. But it looks
But we-
bad to me.
But I think we agree. It's like Kane or like Sicarius. Same issues.
Well, we
Too
have
too high
updates.
cost for too little effect.
Yeah, yeah.
And the talent will never be played.
No,
Like-
sadly. I mean, if it is, wow, it's a great talent. But all right, now guys, here is a card that I'm happy to see, really happy to see. This is the
Yeah.
Cult Lehman Russ. It's a 10 drop, and as we kind of already alluded to, a lot of these 10 drop cards, especially basic cards, so beginners will have this. They're really poor, really, really poor in most of the factions. Tyranids, the Eldar, they're just not very good. So I'm really happy to see the Cult Lehman Russ because I think this is exactly what I want to see from this type of card, right? It's a 10 drop, it's got 1 armor with 10 health, obviously a powerful offense stats, and it comes in with Vanguard, so it immediately affects the board because your opponent can't do anything until they deal with this. And then it has this additional Uprising, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. What I love about that is not so much the turn you play it, you're just playing it for the beef and the Vanguard, but if it survives, which it will if they haven't got hard removal, next turn you have a Predator Annihilator thing going on here, because you could trigger that Uprise 3-4 times on E11, and that's 20 damage.
A pretty good card in a slower meta, definitely. But I don't know.
Obviously, no mucking about. Okay, you
Yeah.
know, well done.
Yeah.
But that
You
you can
spent
say that
10
for
energy,
anything, right?
yeah.
We can't
we can
judge
say
every
that for
card
anything.
against that. Yeah.
And by turn 10, they will not have any Merkin about them in the decks usually, or in the hand. By turn 10, usually. I don't know. It looks good. The stats are amazing, and it does something. It's like if you drop it and the enemy can't remove it, you win the game. But
I think it's better than
10 mana.
Sicarius. I honestly would rather have this card than Sicarius.
it's better than Sicarius. It's also better than Gosar. Hard. It's like we have, but 10 health, 1 armor. Man. Looks disgusting.
I tell you what,
But
a lot.
10 energy.
I love it in a
that's-
mid-range deck, right? Because we've seen some units in this faction that I'd say from 6, 7, 8. There's some pretty good beefy units, and you could build a kind of really sort of body mid-range build with this at the top end, and they've probably already used their hard removal on the 7 drop or the 8 drop, and then you drop this bad boy down, and it's just like, oh shit, I can't deal with it. And the next turn they just
But
trigger
I wouldn't run 2 of it. I will run one.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah. One's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Let's give it a solid 3, huh?
Solid 3? Yeah. What do you
Or
think,
more.
Buggy?
Maybe somebody of you has other opinion.
Sorry
Maybe
about that.
yeah, I wouldn't be mad if somebody's really excited about this.
No.
Oh, I love this. I love this, but it's too late. I love it. Age-wise.
I'm going to be a bit optimistic on this one then. I'm going to give it a 4.
Go.
But the context of giving it a 4 and saying it's a good card is, it's a basic card. I think as a beginner. By the way, if anyone asks me now, what faction should I start playing as a beginner to Warpforge? I think this is a great faction to start with because these types of cards don't exist in other factions.
Yeah, this one reminds you of the Chaos 10 drop, the deal 5-2 in the vehicle.
The
I
box,
think, but this one's a little bit better, I think.
Oh hell yeah!
It's better than it. Yeah, it's definitely better than.
Although
yeah.
the Vox, if we do see a lot of Lehman Russers, the Vox is going to be really good.
Yeah, but I mean, the box is
Yeah.
used. I see it being used. So this one situational.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we reckon a 3 across the board. I'm being a bit optimistic, maybe giving it a 4.
No, I'm not. I'm not. You cannot be mad giving this card a 4.
I
To be
want to give
honest.
it a 4. I wanna, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often
Yeah,
do
right.
you reach
That's a
10
good.
in?
That's a good point. I want to give it a 4, but I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing to bear in mind is that all the warlords are 35 health, right? We haven't got any 40 health warlords, and if you're trying to get anything like towards this stage of the game, then I think like Vanguard's a big deal. Like this is a big wall, to maybe keep your warlord alive for a couple of turns. So I don't know. I just think it's a really nice basic card. 10E. It's exactly what I want to see from a 10 energy basic card. I'm really happy with the design.
If you look up in the dictionary and look for tank, this is the card you're gonna see.
Yeah,
It's
100%. Yeah, loving it. All right, so we got some stratagems to do now. So we've got the Eve of the Uprising. This is 1 energy. It says return up to 5 troops that died this game from your deck. Lower their cost by 3. I mean, this part of me thinks this is unplayable. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but like, this is so slow, right? You've got to get 5 cards that are in your graveyard. Then you've got to play this to put them in your deck. Then you've got to draw those cards to get the benefit of the 3. I mean, in an E18 Gazgal Fatigue game, yeah, this would be really cool if Gaz Fatigue is the meta. It'd be brilliant.
I mean, you're not gonna run out of your deck. It allows you a really fast-paced with a little bit big cards kind of play style. So I think this card's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, okay, fair point. And when you were talking there, I did think about something that I hadn't thought about originally, which is the Legendary Warlord. The Legendary Warlord allows you to specifically draw troops from your deck, and this card is going to have great synergy with that. So, yeah, I take back the 1. I still think overall I'm gonna call it a bad card, but I'm happy to be proven wrong on it. And I think Papa makes some really good points there, and it does only cost 1. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It does really speak to me though that it's meant to be played in the legendary deck, the legendary card, because that's the only one that really has. You want fast card draw, right? You want draw from your deck, and there aren't a ton of cards that do that, but the legendary does. So it's interesting.
This reminds me of there's a card in the HHL, Horsehair's Legacy, the Salamanders. There's something like a 1-drop, put stuff in your deck.
Yeah.
It was way too slow for that.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't used, so that reminds me of it.
I think it's too slow. Yeah. I think it's too slow.
Did it reduce the cost by 3?
Oh, I don't remember.
That's the thing, is even if you only draw 1 of the cards, and it's been reduced by 3. For 1 energy, the payoff is good. So I might be being a bit harsh on this, but it is slow. It is a slow card. I'll say that, because to get 5 cards in your graveyard first and then do it, it feels very, very, very slow. But anyway,
up to.
The new cards are out, boys. So we're gonna keep plodding on, so I can go and bust up some packs.
Let's go.
All right, we got the legendary 1-drop. I mean, is there anything to say about this card other than it is
broken.
completely one of the most broken cards in all of Warpforge?
Yes.
Any disagreement?
Yeah,
Right.
6 stars, 5+.
6+, yeah, absolutely. All right, this one is a 2-drop. It says deal 2 damage, and if the target dies, create a random sabotage in the enemy hand. I really like this card. It reminds me of the Space Marine one, Point Blank.
Yeah.
Obviously, rather than drawing, we put in sabotage, and I will play 2 copies of this in a sabotage deck definitely, because it's doing 2 things at once. It's the hard removal and furthering my kind of strategy. So yeah, I really like that one. I give that a 4 in a sabotage specific deck. I'd give that a 4 out of 5. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 4 stars.
Yeah,
very
agreed.
good card.
Yeah.
2
Nothing to
damage.
add.
Sorry, Papa, go on.
No, I said nothing to add.
Yeah,
4
nothing
stars.
to add. 4-star. Jolly good. Nexus. This card's a weird one. It's pretty rounded stats, I guess, for the 4. It does have stealth. I do think stealth is a premium mechanic in Warpforge, so that's really good. It will probably survive. It's got Artifice. Your units gain +1 until your next turn. I don't think it's a very strong Artifice ability. That's my problem with this card.
Yeah. It's units though. That's a big thing.
It's units, so it's your Warlord. Yeah, that's true.
You could activate Artifice multiple times, just wish clear.
Yeah. The only thing is people do play Stealth Suit, right? And a Stealth Suit now only has 4 range attack, and it just often doesn't play for the Crisis Suit the next turn, because there's a better thing to do on 5e.
Yeah.
And it does mean that your opponent can't take it out, so it gets you on board, so it's good in just like general basic vanilla tempo play. This card is not bad. But I'm not massively impressed with its Artifice. I kind of want to say 3 for me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Bit meh.
Yeah.
Bit meh. It's not bad, but it's a bit meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Would also say that.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I would say it's playable in a very aggressive deck, very wide deck. If you flute the board with low-cost troops,
Yeah,
then I can see it. But
maybe an Uprising deck.
in other decks, not.
Not so much, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. I'll think about that when we think looking at building the Uprising. Anything to add on that one, Papa?
Oh no, it's like it's not bad to put in there. I won't put it in a deck. Maybe not. Depends on if you want to play aggro. Definitely you're gonna put it in. If you don't want to aggro, it's still a stealth unit which is gonna remove another 4 cost or 3 cost unit. So the stealth plays a lot into it. So yeah, it's not a bad card. Definitely not. But it doesn't look interesting. It's not like a card. So hey, I want to put that in my deck. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it can pop off.
They won't copy.
I don't know. again.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Okay.
Ooh. I already had this one. Why is this one coming? It's weird. Oh, we've finished the. I see.
Oh, we finished.
I need to come down to here.
Oh, last time as well. Last card we finished as well.
All right. So, so basically, this choose a sabotage card. Yeah. So choose a sabotage card and add it to your opponent's hand. Draw a card. I'm not sure how I feel about this one because the thing that's good about it is that it does draw a card, so it does replace itself. If it didn't have that, I think this would be a terrible card. What do you guys think?
It's very normal, I'd say.
Yeah.
I kind of like the card because I think the sabotage effect is really strong. It will be strong because it will flood all the opponent hand with cards they don't want to, and maybe also deny them of drawing a card or maybe discard. I say burn a card by accident, and it also like draws you a card, which it's value in itself. It's a good cycle card. Yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. Thing is, we have so many sabotage cards. Would you put it in your sabotage deck? Probably yes. Would you put it in any other deck just for the cycle and for denying your opponent to play on curve next turn? Maybe yes too. I will. I'm not having a 30 card deck yet, but
So there is a
the
neat.
thing is, yeah. Sorry. The thing is just, would you play this card also in not only sabotage deck too? In a not only sabotage deck too.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. I would definitely, because the enemy has a disadvantage because of the sabotage card, and you also draw a card for 2. I think it's very
It's a
good.
good cycle, right? It's a really good cycle card.
Yeah.
If I was I think if you want to maximize the value out of this, the niche I see in this card as well is that I'd like to play it in a deck where I specifically want to put the 3, because you choose the sabotage card, so the one that costs 3 energy and does nothing card, which I think is genius design, by the way. I think that this is brilliant in a deck where you want to play that card. And where you want to play that card, you remember the big beefy Amalia that was like 7 energy, where it's like it does the damage equal to the amount of cards in your opponent's hand? That's a classic combo, because they're going to keep that 3 energy one in their hand because it's not harming them, and so and it costs 3, right? So you pay 2, they pay 3 to get rid of it. So I think that's where like I could see this like really maximizing value is in a deck that really wants to make use of the 3-drop sabotage. But I think Buggy and Papa, you made some good points there. What would you give it out of 5?
4 stars.
Want to give it 4? Yeah.
Yeah, I will also give it 4 stars, and in a sabotage deck, it's obviously auto include.
Yeah. What about you, Squirrel?
I give it a 3. It's situational.
3.
Sabotage, yes. If not, no.
I'm coming down at about a 3 as well, I think, yeah. All right, next up. So next up, guys, you've got these cards that are called geomic enhancements, and you've got 3 of them, and I think they're a bit like the Tau cards, like what Onvar plays. And I'm not sure whether you can actually main deck these or not. That's something I think still to be confirmed. But either way, let's have a look at these cards. So there's 3 of them. So one says give a friendly troop flank and strike, draw a card. The other one says give +3 to a friendly troop. See where you just need the buff to get rid of something. And then the last one, which I'm particularly interested in, is the give armor 1 and +2 health to a friendly troop. That's not heal, that's give +2 health to a friendly troop. I think that card's awesome. But what do we think to these 3?
I think most of the time you will take the flank or the armor.
Yeah.
And don't really much the attack damage, but it looks pretty strong.
Yeah.
1 armor, 2 health is very good.
Yeah, so
compared with health is always good. Sorry, Squirrel.
No, go ahead. You're talking.
No, I'm finished.
Okay. So it's pretty much the flank is to remove. The 3 attack is pretty much a finisher, and the armor one is pretty much the stay alive card, pretty much. So yeah, it's pretty well divided, I'd say.
Do we know how we get these? It's a bit hard it's a bit hard to review them at the minute because I'm not sure if you main deck these or not. The only one I'd consider main decking there though would be this. But I don't think they are cards that you're going to main deck. I think they're probably you get them off one of the others. So yeah, let's move on. All right, this 2-drop is Line in Wait, and it says return a friendly troop to your hand and reduce its cost to 1, not by 1, to 1.
Oh,
yeah.
what the fuck.
I mean, this
Broken.
seems
Absolutely
really. The only thing I'll say is Slither has told me that the Tau card that does the same thing, he's actually dropped that card. So I think it's one of those that probably looks like a little bit better than it is in practice, but I still think as a 2E stratagem, and you can have 2 of them, I think in this particular faction as well, this is going to be really good. What do you guys think?
I think too. It's absolutely broken. I would say 5 stars.
I think it's fine.
First, as I read it, I thought it was only reduced by 1, but it's cost 2/1, and
Yeah.
for 2 energy, I think it's broken.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I
Yeah.
agree.
In Genestealers, they have a lot of big units which you will use that on.
Yeah.
And also if you compare this again to the Elder card that returns the vehicle into your deck, and it's only on vehicle, and this is just on any troop. I don't know how they printed this, man. This is you obviously run 2 of those. It's
Yeah.
2 mana.
It's so goddamn good. It's
It-
so
it-
strong.
There's no situation where you cannot get value from this card.
Yeah.
There's
By the way-
no situation.
And by the way, this is a card that I would like to test. You know, the Legendary Warlord, where I run like only 3 or 4 strats in the whole deck. This is one of those cards where I could see you put 2 of these in and go, I'm getting this every game. Like, value could be ridiculous.
Absolutely.
All right, so 5 out of 5 across the board. This is a card I really love the design of. I'm really happy to see it bore through. Deal 3 damage. This is like the Banshee Mask of the faction, right? They've all got one of these deal 3 for 3 and then have an extra ability. And the extra ability here is if the target has armor, deal 6 damage instead. So it's the new Fire Prism ability. Obviously a great finisher against Orkz, where they've got armor on their Warlord. It's doing 5 damage a turn, whereas Death from Above only did 4. So yeah, I mean, I really like the design of it in terms of how good it'll be. I think it's
3 damage.
I think it's in the current meta it's decent because there's a lot of armor, isn't there?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a one-of. I don't know. There's a lot of
Mm.
competition for space in these decks. I know that much.
There is no downside to this card, right? I mean, it's
Well-
3 mana, deal 3 damage. Where
Yeah, the downside
Well,
is I
when you
think dealing 3 for 3 is a bit expensive. It's a bit under like the value curve, I think, but it's not a massive downside though because it's still removal.
It's good for the Time Guard and the Lich Guard and stuff.
Yeah.
That you will probably see them a lot, those Lich Guards and Time Guards and all those guards.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like BJ already said, the current meta is a lot of units that have armor.
Yeah.
Or receive armor, or Junif buff their units with armor. It's like
Yeah.
armor is pretty big, and by every faction available.
Even Swarmlords,
Trade.
yeah.
And I think it's going to be a great card. I think it's auto included in every Genestealer's deck.
My guess
To be
is
honest. Because the reach of the faction isn't that big. I think that's one of the few cards they have with reach.
that's
So,
true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
And you can also hit the enemy Warlord with it, if you want to
Yeah.
finish him.
Yeah.
For
And
example.
if that's an Orc and it's got armor.
Yeah, good call.
The only problem is I wonder whether this might be one of those cards where when you start building a deck list, you put 2 of them in, and then as you get towards the end, you're like, I need to cut something because I've got 50 cards I want to put in this 30-card deck, and I wonder whether this will be one of them that ends up getting cut. So, but I do think it's great design, love it, happy. I'm looking forward to trying it. I'd probably give it I'd probably give this one a 3 to 4 because it is situational in that obviously having armor is situational in itself, but it's strong where it is. So I don't know, 3 to 4. What do you guys think?
I would say 4 stars, like Papa said.
Yeah.
I think it will include in every deck. Its armor is in every faction, so
Yeah.
most of the factions. So I think it's an auto include.
Nice. Okay, strong feelings on that one. 4 out of 5. All right, we got the Gestalt Energy. Give +2 to your units until your next turn. I think this is a 1 out of 5. Any advances on that?
Pretty weak. Yeah.
I mean.
Oh God. Okay. I cannot say why. I will tell you after the season is done. This is a 5-star card.
It's a really good finisher if you got a board. I mean, it
I
makes me
love
think
this.
of the Sisters 5-star Sisters card.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I mean, are you thinking about the Uprising go wide type of decks?
Yeah, the Uprising decks pretty much. Yeah. I could see this play. Yeah.
Maybe.
Did you guys know? From? I know I keep talking a lot about Hearthstone, but did any of you play it actually? No, right?
Yeah, I played Hearthstone.
Long ago.
I played
But right at the beginning.
Just one question. Don't answer it. Answer only with yes or no. Do you know the card Bloodlust?
Yeah.
Okay.
Papa's brewing. All right. Let's go on to a legendary icon. Interesting. Your warlord gains strike. Draw a random troop from your deck. So basically, we put this on, and for the remainder of the game, he's got this extra ability. I would say this. I really love this design idea of that, like adding to your warlord. It's basically like we're now able to give him equipment, and I kind of love that, and I'd like to see that developed a bit more in 40k. In Warpforge. In terms of the ability itself, hell yeah, I think this is great.
5 stars.
Yeah, super
5 stars.
solid. It's the main card draw engine of the deck, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's
The only
insane.
downside is that you have to attack.
Yeah.
I would say, but
True.
It's a very good card. Definitely.
It's
Yeah.
insane. It's insane.
5
This card is
stars.
insane. This card is 18 stars.
I mean,
this
it's
is the Hilton in Dubai. This is, I don't know.
It's awesome. I mean,
It's
we're seeing
insane.
this trend now, aren't we? Like, legendary cards, generally speaking, are very good, and they're the best cards. It wasn't like that at the start of the game. I can remember Ultramarines, you could often build good meta decks and not need a legendary card. But it is starting to become true now that the legendary cards are really good. We have had a couple of duds, I think, in this faction, but this is definitely not one of them. This is a great card.
And the deck you were talking about, where you put only a few stratagems into your deck to draw it, that's one of them.
Yes. Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? That might be the first deck I
Good
want to build. When I drop loads of money and like get all the cards like in the next 20 minutes, I might want to just build that kind of low S, because I love the consistency of idea of it. But anyway, all right. The next up is it is an epic card. You can have 2 of them. It says create 1 neophyte hybrid in your hand for each enemy unit.
0 stars.
I think this is I had this as a 1. I just think it's like
It's really
There's so
slow.
much access to
Slow,
drawing cards, and
Yeah.
you will not play
not
that
play this.
ever.
Okay, we've got an unplayable that we all agree on. Excellent.
Yeah.
And next up, we got a 4-drop. A lot of factions have this type of ability where you give invulnerable to troops on your turn. The difference with this one is that it also automatically triggers their uprising abilities. It feels a bit like a win more card to me, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's only used for uprising decks. That's it. So it's pretty much a 3 for me. You know, situational, because
And that ability,
also-
the give invulnerable this turn, like no one uses them in the other factions. Like the Chaos one, you never see it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. That's
Yeah. You can compare it with it. Yeah. Right. But I mean, it's another faction, so maybe it could be playable.
yeah, maybe a one-off.
You can trade for free, and maybe in this faction with go to flute the board with low cost troops, and then that's the dream scenario. So
But that's what BJ said. It's a win more card.
yeah,
Mm.
You have
maybe
you have to have a
maybe you
board.
are right. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have
yeah.
a board, and
Yeah,
if it will be also if it will be your units, it will be playable.
But I mean, the
also-
uprising effect will also trigger. Maybe this is strong enough. Then
What I think's
maybe.
weird about that Buggy is if it said trigger ambush abilities, I could understand, because you play an ambush unit down and you don't get to trigger it till your next turn when you attack. But uprising is essentially like rally. it's very much like more comparable to a sort of slower rally or somewhere between a rally and codex or something like that. So I don't know. If you've got units down with Uprising, they've already triggered. So it feels like you just win. Yeah, it feels like a win more card. But we'll have to test it. It's definitely one I'll test, but I'm not sure about this one if I'm honest.
And it's only this turn, so you have to also it's a 1-star for me.
I think it is a 1 to 2. Yeah, I just don't think. I think it's probably a bad card. Potentially, there's some combo you could do with it though. So I don't know. All right. Summon the Cult for energy. Deploy 2 random 2-cost Genestealer Cult troops. So this is a way of instantly going wide. It's something I've talked about before in Warpforge. Is that we don't have many ways to. It's like you deploy a card, I deploy a card. You deploy a card, I deploy a card. There aren't many ways to kind of quickly flood and go wide. They have tried, haven't they, in a lot of the factions where, like, at the 6 energy drop, you drop 3 cards, and very rarely do they get played. I think the Tau one gets played a little bit, just because you can get 3 E drones in there. But I like the fact that this one is, like, 4 energy 2 instead of doing 6 energy 3. I still don't know whether it's good enough, though, if I'm honest. What do you guys think?
No, I don't think this will be played. It reminds me of the 6-card Ultramarines one, to deploy 3 flanks. But that's even 6 cards, even 2 less. Remove a troop. It's never played. I don't see this played if it doesn't have flank or something.
I agree. I will, and there's no situation where I would play this. Also, there's this 5-mana card from Necrons, which deploys 3 2-mana drops, and you never see this outside of Arena. So.
The only thing is that if you look at the 2 costs, you've got things like the Flanker, for example, which is Uprising, and if you deploy 2 at once, then that will trigger. So you actually can get a Flanker out of this, and all of a sudden that's actually not bad. Plus, if you are looking for a low-to-the-ground, go-wide critter deck, then you probably would rather get 2 more 2-drops than a 4-drop. So it might be in this particular faction that... Like, if I was rating this in any other faction, I'd say it's a bad card. But in this particular faction, it might actually be slightly better than we're realizing, but I'm not sure. Definitely need to test it.
I rather play a 2-drop and the hero talent than this card.
Oh, true. Hero talent, yes.
Unless one of them gets flanked, though.
And a 2-drop that I want.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. All right, so we haven't got much love for this. It's somewhere in the probably 1 to 2 range, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a 0 or 1. Yeah.
Underground Network. Create a random sabotage in the enemy hand for the rest of this battle. Sabotage cards in the enemy hand cost 1 more.
Oh god.
Okay, so Buggy, I'm going to start with you on this one because we kind of got excited about the Chaos one, didn't we? Every faction's starting to get one of these now, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Chaos one was about the giving vulnerability, and we thought it was going to be like the Tau one that made drones cheaper. And it turned out...
hyped me so hard for this card.
I hyped you so hard for that, and it turned out to be not that good. What side of the fence is this one going to come down? Is it going to be like the Tau drones, awesome, or is it going to be more on the Chaos side? Do you think? What do you think?
I think it's in the middle.
In the middle?
I think in a sabotage deck, it might be very good because it's for the rest of the game, and you can have 2 of it, and that's the dream scenario. You play much sabotage, then you play this card, and the enemy has to spend much energy to get rid of it. But I think the truth is it's too slow. Yeah.
Okay, my take on this card is it's going to be played in every sabotage deck. It's going to be annoying as fuck because you're going to play it, and they're going to get another card. They're going to discard the hero talent, and then the card they have to play the sabotage costs 1 more. They play it, and then on the next turn you play it again. So it now costs 3, and for the rest of the game it will cost 3. And
the only downside to that though, dude, is imagine I'm playing Buggy's aggro Abaddon deck.
Yeah.
You are so dead if you do that against me, right? Like I've just dropped my Warp Talon. You play this. Now I drop Bringer of Decay. Game over. I've got Sword of Draconum and Helldrake sat in my hand. It's GG. Like you're never gonna see the value. I don't give a shit if I take 1 damage because I've won the game in 2 turns. So like,
absolutely.
That's the problem with a card like this. I think is that it really depends on the meta. If the meta's slow, yeah, this is gonna be insane in the kind of grind war, like against Junith and things like that, against Gazgul. But against, like, if we get Abaddon, if we get aggro Gordrang Uriel nonsense again. If we get that type of meta, this is just a liability, and I just don't think you'd ever play it. Hard one
It's
to
a
judge.
dead turn.
I played too much discard Warlock for that card to call it back. It's gonna be annoying, guys. But
Yeah.
but maybe
No,
you
it
have
is
a
gonna be
point for the aggro. If against Abaddon, yes, because if they have units deployed already, they will kill you. But on a more neutral standpoint, if you play this like Relics of Saint Catherine or Will of the Martyr, like that kind of, it's God, this card, man.
Yeah, no. The ceiling of it is insane. Don't get me wrong. The ceiling is really high. It's going to be insane.
You can absolutely destroy the turns of your opponent and the flow of the game.
Yeah. I think if we're thinking about it like just as a rating, and we're thinking across different metas, like we could have an aggro meta, we could have a control meta, I'd probably give this card a 3 to say it's going to be situationally good. But yeah, in the right meta, it will be stronger. And in the wrong meta, it'll be terrible.
It's an ongoing effect. It's ongoing. It's like
but
it affects the board and the hand of your.
It's like we say, Papa. If you play this on 40, which by the way, you've got to draw it, and you've got to draw it by turn 3 to play it. So even if you play it on 4E, then you've got to get a sabotage card in my hand that I haven't already spent. Right, so I'm just saying that if the game ends on E7, whoopee-doo.
Yeah, but it creates a sabotage card in the hand already.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
But if you don't draw it at 4 energy, then you draw it maybe at 6-7 energy.
Yeah.
Then you spend 3 energy for 1 low-cost troop, and I don't know.
What is with all this negativity here?
So I guess it's one of those, and that's the other thing I don't like about this card. It's one of those cards where you have to mulligan hard, a bit like Relic, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you play a sabotage deck, you will tell me you don't put 2 copies of this in your deck.
Of course you do, of course.
Yeah,
but it's
maybe
it's still against aggro decks. It's still too slow. Definitely.
Yeah.
New Tower Warlord against aggro Abaddon against Grook.
Yeah, because I would make the argument, be it Papa, that it's not even about. Actually, I could see myself running a sabotage deck and not running this. I think it's much more to do with what is the meta I'm playing into. If I'm playing into a fast meta, I wouldn't play this card. And we'll know that now because of the new ranking system. We can kind of think, right, what are the predominant 3 to 4 to 5 factions that we're coming up against? Is it fast? Is it slow? But if it's mid-range to slow, yeah, I would put this in my sabotage decks. But if it was a fast aggro-y meta, no, I don't think I would. I
would put this card in my sabotage deck and you all will cry.
Yeah, well,
I like to see that.
I'll cry that I've got these 3 sabotage cards hurting me whilst I won the game on E7.
I give it 4 stars.
4 stars. What are you giving it, Buggy?
3 stars.
3 stars.
It's definitely a good card, but in the right meta.
What are you giving it, Squirrel?
3.5. I'll stick in the middle.
3.5, yeah. I'm going somewhere from a 1 to a 5. It depends on the meta. Alright. We got a trap sprung, 5 energy, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Repeat this effect for each sabotage in the opponent's hand.
Nah.
3 damage to a random enemy. Repeat this effect for each sabotage in the hand.
Too expensive.
Yeah. Way too expensive. Yeah.
It's like the deal damage when you have every vehicle in your deployed or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is this meant to be like a beginner? Is this like the beginner's finisher for a sabotage deck?
It has too few damage for being a finisher.
Yeah.
3 damage.
Yeah.
If it would be deal 4 or 5, we could argue, but 3, no.
That's not good. All right. And then we got Subterranean Ambush. Choose a friendly troop that died this battle and deploy it.
It's too expensive. I'd say. I mean, we got a lot of low-cost troops.
Yeah.
So it's also choose. So you only got to choose between 3.
This is going in my.
That's my biggest issue. Yeah. That's you can only choose between 3.
Yeah. So you can get 3 1-drops you can choose between for 5 energy.
Yeah.
No, you've got to build around this card. This is going in my. You remember the mid-range beefy deck that I talked about that tops out with the Lehman Russ, but it has the kind of beefy 6, 7, 8 drops. This is going in that deck, right? Like being able to bring back one of those 8 drops for 5. I mean, imagine the guy who does the 8 pings, 6 pings or whatever, costs 8 energy. Imagine you're playing for 5 and then
The more for
yeah. So, but you have to build around this guy. If you build around it, it'll get you a bit of value. But if you don't build around it, it'll be.
But to build around the games usually don't last that long.
No,
but it's
no.
Just, like let's agree on it. It's so slow. Maybe 2 stars.
Yeah, I think it's
Good
about.
stuff,
I think 2 is about right.
Yeah.
And then we got rampant infestation. Your troops cost 3 less this turn. What? I'm
don't
scratching
know.
my head at this. How is this meant to be used? Anyone got any clues?
Yes.
Go on.
This card is crazy.
Is
This
it?
card is
Oh
stupid.
god, they were going to
This card besides the invulnerable 1-mana card is the most broken card.
Really? Go on then. How do we
Yes.
use it then? Because I'm not seeing what the combo is here.
No, I'm not gonna talk about my Genestealer deck, but it's gonna be used and it's gonna
Oh, he's really not talking about it. He's
it's
gone
gonna be played. 3 mana. You have value if you play 3 cards.
Oh, it's going well competitive,
Yeah,
man.
but I'm not gonna talk about how I'm gonna use it, but I will use it, and it will
Right.
be very good.
It's clearly it's an uprising effect, isn't it? Because it's a,
Exactly, it's an uprising effect for
Yeah.
6 mana. Where you can play your whole hand. Because we know how annoying Tervagon is. Tervagon went because they buffed his hero ability to a 1 mana next unit, and then play this 3 mana card where your units cost 1 less.
yeah.
It was quite meta defining. I mean, I think Tervagon is really strong, and this is like it, but on specific deck that I'm not going to tell which deck it is. This is crazy.
Awesome.
This is
Oh.
disgusting.
I want to see you use it, Papa.
Yeah, I'm looking
Oh,
forward
you
to.
will.
Yeah,
Give me a few hours.
Yeah, give me a few
I-
hours. Get off this review so we can all go and play.
Yeah,
Um,
let's go.
Right, but before we do, boys, before we do,
Um,
this is the
Tell me.
card of the faction release. The telepathic take control of an enemy troop this turn and give it fast so it can hit face, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Now
right.
wait a minute, let me just ask you a question on this. So if I've already got a unit down, because I'll have to go back and read fast, but if I've already got a unit down and I steal your unit, so now it gets fast, doesn't that mean that it can't attack face? Because doesn't fast say if you don't already have something on the board?
No,
then it
this
can
only
attack face?
thing is about the motor vehicle. You gain fast if you have no other units. Fast means you can go face.
Oh my
Yeah.
lord! Oh my lord! This card is so.
And
broken.
and if you have done 10 drop, the two drop, put it back in your hand, cost 1.
This might be my new favorite card in the game, boys. Might be my new
Yeah.
favorite card in the game.
Yeah.
I'm all
We
for
finally
this.
have an 8 mana better mind control.
And now
Yes,
with
yes,
10
mind
mana.
control, yeah, mind
Yeah,
control.
now-
Tessel had a card like this. Oh my god! I
now
love
you've
this
had
card.
3 stratagem deck now.
Yeah, very good card. I think it's very good because it's flexible. You can trade face or you can trade with the other enemy unit to clear both of them maybe.
So in my 4-strat build where we've got line and weight, yep. So we trade, we play that attack,
Oh.
and then we play this and put it back in our hand for 1. Oh my
Yeah.
lord!
Just for the people maybe who don't understand, which I doubt there's any. You remove a big card.
Yep.
You gain a big body that can attack everything for 8 mana.
So good, damn good.
It's yeah.
This is the definition of value. Like this is, and like just a win con. It's the definition of a win con. Like, and
Yeah.
and also.
I'm gonna say it. If they let the card how it be with the fast, which is ridiculous, even if it's 10 mana, would you not play it if it's 10 mana?
Yeah.
Even if it's 10 mana, you will play it.
Yeah. I think this is like, it's so phenomenally good, so good. The only thing is, it says take control of enemy troop this turn. So yeah, the downside's meant to be that it obviously goes back to the opponent's hand when you're
Yeah.
finished. That's what it's meant to be. But what we're saying is there's a lot of ways you can play around that, right? You can trade in with another big unit. It's a great comeback card as well. We don't have many combat mechanics other than like Will of Gork. Like this is a great one where you're behind on board and it just helps you come back. It helps you finish if you. It's just so goddamn good. And can you imagine playing against this faction? You're going to be terrified. You're going to be terrified to put anything down in the
I'm
late
not
game.
excited for that. No.
It's just so good. I'm loving that we've got great late game cards, man. Oh
Yeah,
my
there,
god.
there goes the Lehman Ross.
Oh,
You attack face, you attack your enemy for 10 damage. You deploy 2 units,
yeah.
and yeah.
So
Maybe
guys,
kill
I'm
them.
going to break my rule of when I open my premium campaign, like I might just take the first legendary I get and just craft this because I'm just so excited to just play it. Like it's just so insane. I don't care if I get a duplicate. I'll upgrade the border. It's brilliant. Anyway, we got one more I think before yeah, one more before we get on to the thing is, which we probably won't do. Right, the Day of Ascension, it's a 10 drop and it says deal damage to all enemies equal to the number of cards in the enemy hand. I like the card design of this. It's not as good as Exorcist, but it's more reliable than Exorcist. There's no big body like you get with Exorcist with the AoE, but it's it's a more fun. Probably it's a variable on like a Will of Gork. It's like the faction's Will of Gork. What do you guys think before we give it a score?
It's 10 mana.
It's 10 mana.
It's
Yeah.
only it's 10 mana.
Yeah.
It's too late. It's too. And if something survives, if the in the late game's opponent has like little fewer cards, like 6 or 5 in the hand, then like you said, it's like it's a worse Exorcist. It's too. I will maybe take it into the deck if it's 8, but 10 is way too high, in my opinion. I give it. Can I give it 2 stars? I will be brave and I would give it 2 stars.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
If the meta would be slower, this card would be amazing, I think. But at the
Yeah.
moment, no. At the moment, not. No. In a sabotage deck, maybe.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you finish your opponent, and
Yeah.
with this card, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very keen to try it in a sabotage deck, especially because I really like the 3E1. You know, the 3E1, which is like do nothing. That's the kind of sabotage card that your opponent's just going to keep, and therefore the hand's going to be big. We're also seeing a lot of like Anvirs with like Reclaim the Stars, and we've seen Gruk, which draws. So, you know, and we see even Turvagon, right, which keeps putting stuff. So if you could time it right, but I think Papa's point is that a lot of those decks have probably emptied the hand by the time you get to play this. Whereas, well, maybe not Gruk, but the others. So it might just be too late, but I do think that this could catch people off guard. I think in the current meta, it's not too bad. Maybe 1 copy of it in a sabotage deck.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a nice idea, but it might be a bit expensive. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3. We give it a low 3, I think.
Yeah, 3 stars,
Situational. All right, guys. That's it. We have got some defense and offense, but I'm not going to rate all these because we don't even know what order we get them in on the thing. So thank you so much for that. Let me know in the comments what you guys agree with, what you disagree with. We'd love to get some feedback. Also, did you enjoy... I really enjoyed having the guys from Collegium Magistrorum do this because none of us really know for sure, right? We've not had the cards. So it's nice to be able to talk through ideas and kind of agree and disagree and kind of, yeah, can't wait to go and play. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.